Hey, what's up? How you doing, Fender Bender? Hi! Oh man, that's just totally blocking my face. That's not cool. Move that over just a smidge. How are you today? How you doing? Woof, woof, arf, arf. Yep, exactly. You got it. Alright, it's been a couple weeks, but I'm picking up where I left off. Working on this sort of tower defense thingy. Hello, DJ. What's up? How are you today? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I am. I thought, right? I thought I'd get dressed up for once, because it's been a while. Okay, hang tight. I want to show you guys what I have. How's everybody's Saturday doing? Why are you fancy? What are you all gussied up for? I'm good. Pretty good. So far, so good today. Still kind of playing around with the tower defense thingy. I'm going to move this guy over even further. Nice. Tower defense sort of thingy-mabobber McDoodad here. Hey Dylan, no particular reason. Just cause, you know, just cause. Yeah, right. No reason. Anyways, just sort of setting up a tower defense framework, and obviously the turrets kind of suck, but that's the whole point here, is that we can sort of play with stuff like increasing range, decreasing shot intervals, and that kind of stuff. I haven't really played with the gameplay like much at all, because it's just not been my focus this whole time. So anyways, I just wanted to show that, but really what I want to do is kind of keep working on this like debug panel that you see here in the corner. This button right here, send values to developer, that's what I'm going to work on first today. See how far I can get with that, and then if I can sort of make progress there, then I was hoping that I could expand out the way that it works to kind of automate it a bit more. Let's see, what would be a good example here? Like if I go to this guy, hey, what's up, Merman? How you today? Hi, what's new? How's your Saturday been? Nice to see you. Right now what I have to do is for every single thing that I want to show up in that panel, I have to write a little bit of custom code down here to kind of draw it. Oh, that's nice. It's nice to hear. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I have to write a little bit of code for every single variable up top that I want to be shown, and I think that ideally I can get to a place where that could mostly be automated. And I don't have to worry about it doing it manually. I just can kind of know what it needs to do, because there's more or less standard stuff that I'm doing. You know, when it's a float, I want to like draw a little slider and then have a text field next to it for you could type in the number. Stuff like that. So I'm getting closer to being able to like do this much more quickly and more easily in future projects. So that's kind of just where I want to go with this, you know, where I'm at. That's just Mert. That's Mert being Mert. Don't even worry about it. Can we drawable? Here we go. For some reason, like C# does not want to play nice with me here. I do that because in Visual Studio, if you write override, it'll tell you only things that you can override. So I just start with that. That's the main reason why I do it. Probably the only reason why I do it. Try GUI. That's the one I was thinking of anyway. Just makes it simpler. Like I don't have to go digging for the particular function signature and all that stuff. When you automatically finish, it will not do that. True. True. You're right. I think that I was doing it manually before, come to think of it. I think I put it there just because I was sort of like thinking in the back of my head, okay, that's what I would have done if I could go back in time, is to write override and then let it do the rest. I added this manually after, but you're right, it doesn't conform with the rest. I don't think I ever noticed that it actually moves the word override after. So Now it's gonna bug me. Thanks for pointing it out. Just kidding. Good catch though. Alright, draw GUI. What do you have to do? You have to return true if further panel should not be drawn, so let's do return false. I'm hoping this little kitty cat isn't going to be too much in the way. I'm trying to find like a nice balance for where to put him. I guess I could just sort of probably plop him right around there. Alright, Mert, enjoy your tea. I'll catch you next time. Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I think a lot of people are that way, so don't even worry about it. Alright, so this is the one where I'm actually going to pull... ideally, let's see, where did I have it? GUI controller. I've got a bunch of code here that I'm going to pull over to there. I try to like hide a lot more of this less interesting stuff, so it's not just sitting there. Okay, so this stuff right here, I think I want to kind of have over in this debug GUI button. Nice. How often do you play chess? I haven't played it in forever. I think I probably asked you stuff like that, so I apologize if I'm asking you a second time. Every day? Nice, that's cool. I like games that make you use your brain, you know? It's good. Okay, so the things that need to happen in the button are gonna obviously still kind of need to be done over in the GUI controller, so we need to create a new function here, public void. I guess generate report and send. Nice. Nice. Interview things for an internship. Cool. If you want to tell us about the internship, please feel free. That's pretty exciting. Okay, so that stuff feels like it's fine here. I should probably do the good thing and actually comment this. Serializes all drawables. Nice. Okay, cool. You got some options. That's great. Realizes all drawables. Let me know about volumes and stuff. I always get paranoid about that stuff. Weird. Yeah, I guess engineering is not quite the same as like design or art. I feel like they might have internships for those at a different pace, you know what I mean? Into JSON and then sends them to developer. Okay. So, that's the idea anyway, and this is gonna need to find the GUI controller. Interesting, okay. Epic Games actually has you doing console programming. That's cool. I love that. I love to hear that. Okay, so then it's... I guess I feel kind of gross about doing it that way, so let's do a private GUI controller. Controller equals null. Maybe I can do it on reset. That'll make me feel happier about it, I think. GUI controller equals game object dot find, or no, it would be find object of type GUI controller. Oh no. Oh no. Not that. Bye. Make this window go away. You go away, sir. Nobody wants to talk to you. How do I just close this window? Like, it pops up this stupid little window and then I can't make the window go away. That's the most obnoxious thing. How do I make it go away? Oh, there's the X. Okay. I just need to, like, widen it out a little bit. Interesting. Treyarch's going, like, more of the traditional software development route, it sounds like. That is interesting. Okay, GUI controller goes find out. So basically I just need for this script over here to be able to find this one in order to call this function right here when the time comes. So something like if GUI controller is null. I've been doing other things, bot development and stuff, so my brain's a little bit over in that space. I need to remember, like, what are the functions that I want to be calling here? Oh, that's right. Okay, log error. Let's just put like this plus GUI controller, or no, colon, and then GUI controller is null. Okay. Else, then we're going to call GUI controller dot generate report and send. The sending part, obviously, we haven't gotten to yet. So to do send. That's cool. Sounds like you're pretty busy, but in good ways, you know. Wish you luck. I'm sure you'll do great. Okay, so we can create a path. So what this one's doing right now is it creates a string, or like an array of strings that's large enough to fit one string for each of the drawables. And drawables are basically scripts running elsewhere in the scene. And more or less correspond to one of each of these lines that you see in the panels. And when you place a tower, you get a couple more. So really right now we basically have a total of 6 things right here. And it's going to try to draw or to pull a string for each one of those, basically. Yeah, I get that, Dylan. I understand. It's sort of like a lot of pressure to take a test. I always kind of felt okay with tests myself, just a thing that I guess I'm good at. But yeah, I totally get it. Yeah, right? Like that is I did take a programming test once that definitely felt really pressured and kind of, I'm sure I didn't do well. Like, I know I didn't do well, actually, because I sort of, that was early on in my career and I really didn't have a lot of knowledge that I should have had, because I didn't like actually have a curriculum that I studied, you know. But yeah, definitely sort of stressful. Anyways, we're creating a space to put some strings, and then for each one of those items, we're basically creating this thing called JSON, and JSON is just a sort of a notation where you take data and you create text from it that just sort of outputs what that data contains. It doesn't work great for everything in Unity because references, for example, are not going to print out correctly, but I don't care about that, like, at all. And then it sort of puts it into this particular path so that we always know where to find it. And then it actually writes it to the file. Yeah, remember the best case. So I guess those things, like, they probably record your screen and stuff, right? So I wonder if they're like gonna scrutinize what you're looking up or things like that. Hey, what's up, Kamal? How you doing? Welcome. Happy Saturday to you. So what was I doing? All right, so I want to sort of test and verify that this is actually working correctly. So give me a sec here. Did yours not work? Okay, I screwed something up. I always screw things up. One sec. Oh, I didn't actually do it. How you doing today, Kamal? What's new? What's new with you? Long time no see. I guess I haven't. Where does it go? Interesting. I actually thought I'd already pulled a report, but I guess I didn't. So let's try it. Let's just run a little test on this function currently. I haven't actually attached the script to the scene anywhere. So let's do that, shall we? Debug report GUI. This guy. Draw when enabled. Don't draw when disabled. Right. Panel name is send values to developer. Send values to developer. I'm not good at naming things. Leave me alone. Okay, so let's see how that goes. Click this right here. Send values to developer shows up. Let's place a tower. Let's play with tower settings a little bit. Decrease shot time. It's my favorite. Should make them rapid fire. Pretty good. All right, cool. And then we click this little button, and all it really does right now is it fails because GUI controller is null. Huh. Is there not? It's right there. How would it fail? That's amazing. Find object of type, GUI controller, void reset. Hides inherited member. Oh, okay. I forgot that GUI drawable has a reset, so I actually have to override this. I think it's protected. See, that's what, I guess that's the habit that I got into, is writing the word override first. It's definitely what it is. Okay, that should help, because it just wasn't calling it at all before, I think. Oh, it's not serialized. Why would I put it on reset if it's not serialized? I guess I should serialize it. Duh. This just means that it will save that information in the editor scene instead of just during the game, which is something that should have been obvious to me. Because without it, like, setting it at reset time is not going to actually do anything. Let's reset now. There we go. Shows up. Okay, and then we just sort of type this in again. Send values to developer. I should maybe implement some kind of priority or layering system, because I kind of don't like that this one's at the top. I would prefer it to be at the bottom. But maybe I'll get to that later. I guess I'll write myself a note to remember to do it. Add layers? Question mark? Okay, so let's do this again. Run our test one more time. Tower. Change some settings, because why not? Now it moved. Now it's down here. See, that's weird. I don't like when it does that kind of stuff. Send values to developer. Click that button. Attempting to write report at projects, TD Wars, assets, reports. Yep. That's where it should go. Okay. So then looking here. Hang on. Oh, okay. I was like misreading where it was supposed to end up. Alright, so it generates something like this. And this is what JSON looks like. It's basically a pair of curly braces, and then inside of that you have a pair of, like, a variable name, basically, and a value. It's pretty straightforward. So this is just a way that you guys could send me little reports just saying, hey, you know, I tweaked some values. These are the values I came up with. This is what I think is pretty cool. Why don't you try rolling this into the actual build? That's the idea, anyway. This is all just so that I can do more, like, you know, live prototyping with you guys and kind of get feedback right away. So the values that I played with, tower settings, I think. So things like instance IDs are always going to be useless to me, which is fine. The thing that will be interesting, though, is things like range. Okay, you know, if you would change the range value, that would reflect here. If you change target interval, if you change fire interval. These are the actual float values of those things once I plug them in. You know, I realized I want to have Discord running because things happen. Like, I'm always going to have that little paranoia that Twitch is going to crash or something. Anyway, cool. So that part's fine. I just need to have that send now, basically. It's basically where I'm going with this. The other part of it that I'm kind of curious about is, like, where does that stuff end up in a web build? Which is probably a question I should just get the answer to, because, you know, it can be found on the interwebs. So, Unity, how did I actually do it? So that's what I should find out. So I use this thing, application.datapath, and I just want to know what that means when you're in a web build. That's what I need to find out. Application.datapath WebGL. There you go. Someone else has searched for it. Alright, so this guy is running in AngularJS. I don't really care. When I'm doing this sort of question hunting or answer hunting, I usually skip the question if it sounds relatively close to what I need to know. Based on the document URL, so some other path. There you say, sure. Okay, maybe I do care. absolute path and data path are not returning the path of where the WebGL content is hosted from, but the URL page of the page running it. Interesting. Okay. So it's saying that application.datapath is actually going to try to place it on the web somewhere? Which won't work for anyone, basically. Okay, so that makes me think maybe I want to try using something else. Let me just look up Unity Application Scripting API. Okay, here's application. Absolute URL. The URL of the document for WebGL. This is a web URL. For anything else, it's going to be a deep link URL. Okay, that doesn't sound useful because I want this to put it. Maybe it doesn't even need to put it. It kind of has to put it somewhere. I guess that's what I need to figure out is can you just send a stream of data directly in an email, which is basically where I'm going with all of this. So let me just see here. www. This is how you send. Oh, it's obsolete. That's right. Unity web request. Okay, so we should be using Unity web request now. Handles the flow of HTTP communication with web servers. Download or upload. Govern downloading and uploading data. Huh. Okay, that's something that I could try. Is uploading it, having users upload to some publicly accessible place on the web, I guess. I kind of want to like do this the simple way first, though. Get post, put, get texture. Okay, most properties. Interesting. Upload to a Google Sheet. Huh. Okay, that's an interesting idea. Cannot be altered once it has been begun communicating with send web request. Okay. Create. Okay, got it. And where is supposed? Bytes. And where is done? Method. Floated bytes. Finds a target URI or the URL. Request. Yeah. Request server. Okay. Could upload to a Google Sheet. Yeah, maybe that's a way to start, because that feels like that could be relatively simple. And not have to like worry about creating the file and then attaching it to an email. Or I guess you could just put the text of the file in the email. That would be a little bit annoying, but I guess it could be worse. I should just sort of... no, that's fine. Unity upload text to Google document. Google Sheet? Huh. Sheet is... I didn't realize you were actually saying sheet. That'd be cool. I was thinking like just a regular Google Doc. What is this? What is this? Google Sheets for Unity. And you can write spreadsheets, runtime, design time, how it works. My cat started whining. Usual stuff. API reference published. Google Sheets for Unity. You know, I didn't run as Dreamweaver. I'm gonna need that in a minute. Now I think I'll stick with my original idea and just write a simple email script of some sort. Right. Start with my basic idea because I don't want to get too heavily into like, does this API work? How deep do I have to go to learn it and that kind of stuff. I just want to sort of see what I can come up with here. Yeah, that's a cool idea. I like that. Okay, so let's do file here. Let's call this Bear with me here. I don't really do a lot of web coding often. Hey, what's up, Cecil? How you doing? Hang on one sec, guys. Give me 1 sec here. Be right back. How you doing? Cecil, how's your Saturday so far? Thanks for coming. Good to see you. Okay, actually what I want to probably do, thank you. Hit. Oh man, it's been so long since I've had to do something like this. Okay, let me think here. Do I want to do HTML? Do I want to do JavaScript? Do I want to do... Let's just look at JavaScript. That's going to be pretty easy, hopefully. JavaScript, send email. I've done this in PHP. I don't know if I've ever done it in JavaScript, but I feel like I want to try JavaScript today. Simple mail transfer protocol. Okay, so... Gotcha. Send email, send... Seems relatively... Okay, so it's just... Mail.send. HTML. It's free JavaScript library. Okay, so JavaScript email.send. Send an email. You can, however, open the user's mail client. Hahaha. Oh, that would be really simple, wouldn't it? Okay. Include SMTP. Push protocol. Transfer mail from one user to another. It's a push protocol. You need to configure your mail. Yada yada yada. Send email. Okay, so I know with PHP it's possible. So let's just look that up. PHP send email. Thank you for the compliment, by the way. I don't know if I said that. PHP mail. Yeah, it's just mail, like recipient, subject, message. I've done that before, so I guess that's where my brain is taking me here. So let's just change this around to send email dot PHP. And again, you might be looking at this and shaking your head and thinking, this is not how I would do this at all. I'm not a web developer, so I don't really care that much. I'm just gonna be doing my thing here. Okay. Oops, that's not right. Why did I... Oh, I see what I did wrong there. Okay, that's fine. Cancel. Grab that. Reopen it. True. Yeah, you're probably right. There might be some shenanigans I gotta check out there. Okay, so let's just sort of peek at this. Oops. Relatively straightforward. The thing that I'm gonna need to do is to post information into this page, which I've also sort of forgotten how to do. Sorry, this is gonna be like the part of the stream where I'm just like, how do I do that again? Okay, so PHP get post data. Really? Oh, that's interesting. Huh, okay. So it might not be useful to people, then it sounds like. Okay, so you do exclamation mark, or $_ post. Post data. Input name, value. Uh-oh. What's up, DJ? You okay? Hey, what's up, dude? How are you, Funky? Man, okay. Yeah, I'm starting to sort of think. Okay, so I think I need to see how Unity handles post data. Make sure that this is something that I can actually do. Oh, wow. Nice. Nice. Yeah, so you basically got in under the wire. I remember playing competitive games and like having that sort of response of like just getting super excited and shaky, kind of. Yeah. Post data. Okay. So what do you do here? You pass in post data. Wrong coded to transmission. Yeah, that was the idea, Dylan. Sets the method to post content data. Many servers so do not properly handle post requests. How do they handle it? Form. Okay, so they're using a WW form. Yeah, okay. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Add field, my data. Nice. Good going. Congrats. Congratulations. Yeah, I think I'm trying to, like, avoid dealing with it as a file entirely. Because I think I don't know where it's going to want to put the file is the thing, you know what I mean? Unless maybe there's a way to, like, write a file directly as an attachment without actually having to place it anywhere first, if that makes sense. So I gotta look up W form. Let's generate form data to post to web servers using web requests. You have a lot of example here, but what does it actually do? Okay. Add field, add binary data. Okay. Add field. Right? Like, I just want to put it in the body of the email. That's where I'm going with this right now. Add field, name, and value. Okay. That's relatively straightforward, actually. Okay, so I think what we're looking at here is skipping the file part entirely. Let's use this to write to a file. Okay, so we would do something like HTTP client with support on all platforms. Is that a C# thing? This class for sending a shipping request receiving from a resource identified by URI. Cool. Wait, client.async. Let's ensure success. Wait.response.content. Read a string async. Post async, send a post request to the specified URI. Post is, by the way, for anyone not initiated into web dev, even the basic amount that I am, like, post is for sending data that isn't reflected in the URL. It's just sort of sent in the background, so to speak. It's versus get, which is the one where that you see actually in this URL, for example, here where you see question mark view equals. This would be the get version of sending data, where everything is shown here up in the URL. Post is for doing it kind of just in the background. It's for much messier bits of data like this. It's much more convenient, I think. Okay, post async a string URI, okay. Content, the HTTP request content sent to the server. Installation token that can be used by other objects or threads to receive notice of cancellation. Okay, probably don't need to worry about that. I think we're going to stick with the Unity version of this just because it's got a workflow that I'm more used to, so I'm going to probably do that. Alright. Right. Yeah. Okay, so this will be a report form equals new www form. which is a default constructor. Okay, so then we say report form dot add field body, and then the information that we put into the field is just going to be that JSON, which I can't actually access as one large string just yet. It's unfortunate. Okay, so we do have to kind of do something like this anyway. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Yeah, I think I just need to rethink the way that I've done this. I've done it here as an array, and that would be a bunch of separate strings, and I wouldn't be able to put them into a field as one item here, so I'm going to have to actually just create one single string and concatenate or append the text onto the end. So let's just do, is it like string.empty? Yeah, I can do that, right? Okay. And then for each drawable, I'm going to append this. JSON.append? Is there append, or what would they actually have you use here? Insert trim end, trim start equals copy to. Okay, maybe it's just supposed to be plus equals. That would be it. That would be all I would need there. So this is to get every object's JSON in a single string. This code down here will no longer work anyway, but that's okay. I'll worry about that later. Here I can just plug in the JSON. Okay, and then I would just need to do a, let's see, var. I'll just make it simple on myself. Web request equals new, calling it a web request, what do they call it? Unity web request, okay. Which is in some namespace. Networking, okay. Using Unity engine.networking here. Default method is get, it says, which is not the one that I want, really. Get. Cool. So let's just do like a default thing here, right? And then we do web request dot post. Hang on. Web request dot post. Oh, it's static. Okay. Got it. Okay. So then we're not going to call new here. We're going to do Unity web request dot post. Creates a web request configured to send form data to your server via post. Okay, so then we're putting in the URI, and that's where the web page is going to go that I am interested in. Okay, so that's where I need to like jump back over to here and I guess figure out where this is going to end up. I'm just going to leave it right here for now, which is probably a gross place to put it, but you know, this is how I do stuff. I do it the gross way, and then I go back and I do it the right way at some other point. Private string. Okay, so then the URL of the whole thing is going to be http://www.thebarkingotter.com/send email.php. Private string report URL, let's say. Okay, so then this wants that URL first, and then the post data, which would be the report form. Which feels like we're going the right way. Let me just double check something here. handler method, response code, upload handler, expose, send web request. Just put raw data to remote server. An interesting option. Serialized forms, unescape. I think it should be fine. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I think it should be fine. Okay, so then that's going to toss this basically to pass the JSON data to a PHP script, which is what I need to now figure out again. So referring to the whatchamacallit that I had up a second ago. What's it here? Relatively straightforward. It's just mail. I'm probably overkilling this. I'm like using a cannon to solve a fly problem, but whatever. Maybe I'm not. I don't actually know. I do have an email address. I just have to sort of remind myself what it is here. That's who I need to talk to. Oh, I didn't even notice this, Funky. You're gonna have me play Myth the Fallen Lord. Yeah, you sent me all that information. So I'll totally be checking that out. I was thinking about playing it midweek at some point. Domain. That's right. The Fallen Lord. Myth the Fallen Lord. Yeah, for sure. That's gonna happen. That is gonna happen. Alright. Did I get my password right? I did! Hooray! Okay, double checking what the email address is that I have attached to the website. Okay, cool. Me at thebarkingotter.com. Oh, totally. Subject is... I guess that I should probably send the subject as well. So let's add another form here, or another field to the form. Dot add field subject TV Wars. Maybe I'll make that serialized up here. That actually doesn't feel like it belongs here. It feels like it belongs over here. That's why I'm like tilting my head. Okay, serialized field, private string, subject equals. And then this one feels like it belongs over there too. Which just means that I need to pull that information into this function by adding parameters here. So we're going to do string URL and then string subject. And then those will go here, report URL and subject. Guess I can just call it URL down here. And then this would be subject. Great. So now it's going to pass two pieces of information, the subject line and the body of this email that it's going to generate. That's the idea anyway. So here we're going to grab from post. I like to do this kind of the broken out way. So we'll say subject equals post subject. And then body equals post body. And here we say subject and body, right? Subject and message, okay. New subject message, you got headers and things you can send. Probably gonna be a big old mess, but you know, that's how these things start out. They always are a big old mess until you make them not messy. Okay. Did I do it right? Probably not. We'll find out. Now I also have to remember how to check my email. I don't know if I set it up as a forwarder. Probably. If I'm smart, I did, but I probably didn't. Because I'm not smart. Forwarding address. Here we go. That is not actually what I wanted. This is the one. Oh, okay, yeah, it is a forward. So it's just going to send it to my main Gmail, which is perfect. Because then I don't have to log into a separate inbox. All right. Cool. Is it going to work? We'll find out, won't we? So let's make sure it compiles. Let's throw some towers in and play with things there. Attempting to write report. Doesn't feel like the thing that's actually supposed to be happening. I guess that is what the doodad said. That is what the code still says, which is inaccurate. But if this all went to plan, I might be getting that email already. So let's check, shall we? Sorry guys, you're not going to see my email. How many guesses that it is going to go to spam? If it comes through at all. TD Wars. I should probably almost certainly get some kind of you know, I don't even know if I did all the steps here. We did not, yeah, we didn't actually send the web request, so that's good. As usual, I'm missing a step here, probably. So I think that this is what we're going to want here. It says it's an async, which means it will run it in the background and then let us know when it's done. So I need to save that. I'll just call it async. And then how do we deal with an async operation? I haven't used that really in a while. Okay, so we can grab the web request. It is an async operation. Okay, so then we can yield to it if we need to. We can check priority, and we can set completed action. All right, let's just double check or sort of look at what Unity has to say on the subject. Send web request. Begin commuting. After call this, we'll perform DNS resolution, transmit the request, and process the response. Once it's called, you cannot change any of the properties. Returns a web request async object. Yield it to pause until that encounters a system error or finishes communicating. Okay. Got it. Okay, cool. Seems relatively straightforward. So what we need to do, because this is asynchronous, meaning it will normally try to do it in the background, is if we want to get like a result from it, one of the ways that we can do it is to change this function into a coroutine. And a coroutine is just a function that has the ability to kind of pause in the middle and let other things keep going. Oh, that's weird. And so with IEnumerator, really it just means that I can say yield async, yield return async is how it goes, right? And this just means basically wait until it's done. Wait for network operation to complete. Now the thing that I suppose I'm still kind of unclear on is how do I check if it succeeded here? I guess we could like look at the web request and maybe it has something inside. Is error, yeah. Results. Result of this Unity web request. Okay, it looks like there's a lot of different things that we can do here. Human readable string describing any system errors encountered by the web request while handling the response. Is error has been renamed to is network error for clarity. Okay, so they want us to use, let's just see it. There we go. Turns true after this encounters a system error of some kind. Oh, sure. Yeah, returning a value from it would be impossible here. I don't think I really need to do that myself, so I think I'm okay. Okay, so we're going to yield return, and then what we would want to do is say, maybe I could do this way. I could say while web request dot, while it's not done, and web request dot is network error. So while it's not done and it doesn't have an error. Huh, cool. She runs on the Unity thread and creates a context. Interesting. I should have to look into that. I'm still like basically running Unity, or like writing Unity stuff as if it were 5 years ago, I think. We're gonna wait, and I'm gonna say, instead of waiting for the whole thing, which is what this would do, it says wait until the entire operation's done. Instead of that, I'm just gonna wait a little bit. Yield return new wait for end of frame, which just means wait until the very next chance we can run it to check again. Hey, what's up? Glitch Generation Gaming, how are you doing today? I am working in Unity on sending an email, because I'm a goof. Okay, so while the request is not done, and it is not yet an error, we will... What would be the simplest way to do this? I guess for now I can just log it in the console. Debug.log report progress plus web request dot, I think there was like a progress variable. Result. Timeout. Cool. Glad to hear it, man. I appreciate that. That's very thoughtful of you. Okay, so there seems to be like a download progress and an upload progress. Huh. Maybe I should check more closely here. I'll show you. Well, if you want to check out the game, like it's a little bit behind, but you can see what I like. This would be the end of what I had last time I did this, which is a couple weeks ago. You can see what the game is meant to be, and I'm just sort of playing around with the back end of it a bit more than the game itself. Like, there's not really a ton of gameplay still, but I'm just kind of like making it so that you can input values on that build and then send them to me. That's basically what I'm doing right now. Okay, so I need to kind of see download progress, upload progress, uploading body data. Okay. Cool. I guess I'm just gonna print both the download and the upload progress. So let's call this download progress. Upload progress plus web request dot upload progress Okay, so this should hopefully continue until either it completes the request or there was some kind of error. So then after that's done, I can say if web request dot is done, then we'll just log another message here that says report sending complete. Yeah, right? Yeah, the default towers kind of suck a lot. But if you play with the numbers a little bit, you can find some good combinations. People have had some really good suggestions too for like lasers or like physically sweeping, you know, motions like that. Oh, interesting. Okay. Report sending complete, and then I can say if web request dot is error. I think it just is network error. Yeah. Then I'll say log error this time. Report failed. Error. Error output, I guess. Web request dot error, which I believe is a string, right? Yeah, human readable string describing any system errors encountered while handling the request or response. Perfect. Okay, so long story short, you're not using a generic type. Requires one type argument. Using a generic type IEnumerator requires a type argument. I am behind on my Unity coroutine. I forgot how to do them. So Unity coroutine, just pull up that info. Yeah, it's IEnumerator. What the heck? Did I do it right? Or wrong, I mean? Enumerator fade. Why does it seem unhappy with this? Collection generic IEnumerator out T. Right? Like, what is... what am I missing here? Dylan, help me out. I feel like I'm missing something really obvious. Or outdated or something. Maybe it's getting IEnumerator from a different source? Show potential fixes. Alt-Enter. Oh, it's because I don't have using system.collections. Okay, that's why that's there. Never mind, thanks. False alarm, Dylan, false alarm. All right, IEnumerator here. Okay, so then Unity's sort of system for IEnumerators, it was the coroutine. It's been just long enough with coroutines that I got flustered or confused here. I was just missing system collections up here. It was like, it knew what an IEnumerator was, but it was treating it as a generic. Okay. And so then in order to call this function as a coroutine, in other words, in order to call this function and allow it to pause in the middle for this section right here, we have to change the way that we call it. So we say start coroutine over here and throw in the function call like that. Okay. Yeah, I always sort of, I mean, I guess I should say always, but like, I couldn't remember why it always includes using system.collections, so I got rid of it earlier, and I was like, okay, that's why it's there. Because up here, like in most scripts, I don't, necessarily need both of them. Anyways, cool. Let's see what we get. Mm-hmm. Right. Totally. Makes sense, actually. The naming of it makes a lot of sense. It knows that an IEnumerator is as a generic thing, but not as just a plain old thing. Alright, throw towers in there. Mess with the towers, increase range, do all that fun stuff. Yes, good. Maybe go over here and spawn more enemies. Let's see if we can overload the system entirely. No, let's not do that. Oh, interesting. It's like completely... Okay, well this is absurd, but that's okay. Send values, click the button. Report sending complete. That feels good. That feels like a good output. So let's see if my email actually shows anything here. I guess that's the thing, right? Is I actually don't know where the email is going to come from. Like, I don't know who the sender is going to be. I forget how that sort of stuff works. I feel like I have some other code I can peek at where I've done this sort of thing before. Let's see. Where would it be? Guess it would be Tan Army. I'm not going to show you all of this because I'm not sure how secure it all is, so let's just look at this behind the scenes for 1 sec. I'm pretty sure that the password reset thing sends an email. Action equals password reset. Okay, so it runs that code locally on the same page. Okay, so I've got some sort of global send email function. Interesting. Okay, so you actually have to add a header if you want it to have a from field, which I did not do. That's probably useful. My question then is, where do I get that from? So how do I actually use it? Where do I get from? Find in current document from field. Here we go. Okay, I can show you this part. This is for no, the enemies. Well, I think they do. I thought they do. It might not be very reliable. Let me double check. Area spawner. Where did you open? Over here. Okay. So what it should be doing is, I guess, just creating a capsule. Oh, totally. Yeah, no, it's messy as heck right now. Yeah. No, good call on that for sure. I haven't really put any effort into that side of things, but it's good that you're looking out for that stuff. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, you're right. It doesn't do anything to destroy them. I could actually put that in pretty simply, although maybe the right thing to do would be to just throw a trigger in there and do it that way instead. Cursor, instructable. Yeah, I think I'm gonna throw in a trigger real quick while I'm thinking about it. Enemy spawner, tower spawner, no. Enemy spawner. Goal? Goal should just be a trigger of some sort. So let's grab this. Maybe I don't need to grab it. Do I need to grab it? No, I don't need to do that. Just add a component here. It's not on Git or anything. That would be kind of cool, actually. But yeah, you can download the source code there. There should be a link right under the build. Feel free to muck around with it and do whatever you want to it. No license or anything attached to it, so literally you can do whatever you want. Collider is what I'm looking for. Box collider. Like I don't usually care about that kind of stuff, so yeah, feel free to do whatever you want with it. 20, 30. Let's do like 30 across, and then just give it a little bit of width here so that things don't like fly right through it without meaning to. And then we make that a trigger, and then we can do a quick little script here for destroy on contact. Cool. I think I've been sort of in development so far. I can't think of how many times I've done this, maybe 3 or 4 times. And I think I keep getting bogged down in the sort of architecture of it, which is a common sort of engineering problem, to not really get to the fun stuff. So I'm like, I feel like I'm getting to the point where it's going to really start picking up pace, but to date it's all just back-end framework type stuff that is only half realized still. Try and contact. Yeah, so we'll do private void on trigger enter. Yes, good. You know what I'm going for here, Unity. Destroy on contact. guess I could have like a layer thing here. Should I do layers or should I do tags? I guess layers feels like a faster thing to do. So let's do serialize field, and faster I mean performance, like code-wise. Private layer mask. This is how Unity handles a layering system. They call it a layer mask, and it's relatively straightforward to put together. But by making it serialized, I can even pick it from a drop-down, which is super easy. Layer mask, what do I call it? Layers to destroy equals... I don't know what I would set it equals to. Can I make it null? I don't know if I can with a layer mask, right? Okay. New layer mask. Like a default layer mask? Okay. Does it scale? I mean, no, not yet. I haven't put any effort into that whatsoever, so no, not really. It will eventually. Maybe. Depending on how far I wanted to take it, to be honest. I was like originally just going to make this kind of like a goofy little prototype. What's that? Oh, that's sunlight. You got sunlight hitting the green screen back there. That's fun. Aha. Peeling back the curtain a little bit, so to speak. No, that's completely wrong. What? What? Can. Transform. Boom. Problem solved. Never seen sunlight. I haven't. I actually also added a light. I guess you can't see me pointing, but there's a light over here. So I've got like actual lighting for the first time ever. Okay, so destroy objects from the layer mask on contact. Okay, so if I say if other.gameObject.layer, no, it'd be like if layers to destroy dot value. I think it's like this. Other.gameObject.layer. I'm probably messing that up entirely as well, so let's just, you know, Unity layer mask. I feel like I'm like twice as dumb on stream than I ever am. Like outside of stream, because I just don't really think things through enough. Okay, layer to name, name to layer, layer mask implicitly converts. Okay, so then you say get mask. Mask here, yeah, okay. Get much percent of 32 layer masks. Following example. Okay, so do I actually want to use dot value here? Modified in the inspector. Okay. Like I should know how to do this, but to be honest, I just don't use it enough. Combining layer masks, okay. Shifting, create a layer mask, inverting a layer mask, great, don't care. Name of one layer, number of layer, examples using layers, okay. So, add this layer to the mask. All layers in chosen layers except the game object layer. All layers except the UI. This in chosen layers mask is a UI layer. Got it. Okay, so I should be using and here. I think that's what it's telling me. Cannot implicitly convert into bool. Right. Hang on. Simplify, insightful post, technical. I understand how they work. I just need to remind myself how to use them. Okay, so if it's in this mask or that mask. Need to perform the mask afterwards. Okay, so guess what I'm doing? I'm switching to tags. I'm just not grokking what I need to be doing here. So private string array tags to destroy this new string array with at least one value. Okay, so it sort of stinks because we're gonna have to do a loop through all of them where layer masks are just inherently cheaper and faster. Destroy objects if they have any of the selected tags, I guess. Should be like a tag picker. Is there not a tag picker? That seems like a thing that should exist. Anyways, for each string tag in tags to destroy, if other dot compare tag then you're gonna destroy it. Other dot game object, and then we can just quit because we're done. Like it's a bit messy to do. Replace with the layer mask later when I can use my brain properly. Okay, replace with layer mask would be more efficient. Okay, destroying contact should be relatively straightforward though. Let's just throw this in here. Right? Yeah, I know I've done it too. It's like what you know, it seems like another one of those things where, you know, hey Unity, can we just get this thing that everybody's gonna need? Come on. Destroying contact. Exit destroy, we'll just put enemy. Okay, and then I can run it here in the editor to just kind of verify that it's gonna work. We'll do faster waves. Maybe we'll just do one at a time. Type cache, I'll have to look it up. Complete and total failure as usual. Alright, so is our goal trigger like down in the ground or what's going on? Nope, it's not in the ground. We're definitely hitting it. Enemies are tagged as enemy. They have a capsule collider, and that's all good. Okay. Why do you not want to work for me? Okay, so let's run a debug session on this attached to Unity. Oh, okay, that's cool. Smart. Alright, switching back over. Yes, I want to enable debugging. Maybe I should just... I don't know. I was thinking about clicking the other button that said just enable it always, but it seems like it's going to be fast or slower if I do that. Does it need a rigid body? Is that what I'm missing here? Let's run this one more time. Debugger should still be attached. Right? Yeah, like it's still attached. Come on, dudes. Okay, yeah, nothing's happening. Cool. So let me try adding a rigid body. No gravity. Kinematic. Alright. I think kinematic just means like it isn't actually subject to any forces. It's probably colliding with the floors and the walls right now. Okay, that's a good sign, because it should have been doing that all along. I think it does need a rigid body. I forgot that I think one object or the other has to have a rigid body for a trigger event in Unity. Or both. I think. Not actually sure. Okay. Hopefully this is just going to do the right thing, so I'll kill the breakpoint. Okay, seemed like it did. Cool. That's good news. Alright, thanks for that tip. What was I doing? Oh, right. I was sending an email. Did I ever get an email? Nope. I don't think I got anything. So... let me double check what I was doing back in time here. So I would create a from that just threw in our email address for this project here. And I guess that's all you have to do. So maybe I just need to use myself as the from here. From equals me at thebarkingotter.com. This is where, like Dylan was saying, you probably want to check our settings there. But looking back at this guy, I should probably just close this other file because it has like passwords and junk in it. Okay, equals that subject and body, and then I was just sending it. Oh, I guess I need that other file. Hang on. There you go. This is what happens when you try to secure your delicate information, but you also then put other functions and stuff in it. Okay, so I'm just using this syntax right here. What's also weird about this is that none of this is highlighting, so I feel like I'm missing something pretty critical there. But anyways, you just say headers and then the from goes there. So I throw the headers in here. Whoops. Like, what am I missing as far as tag here? Okay, it actually has to... Oh no, the reason why I'm doing HTML and stuff over here is because this one actually has HTML content to serve. Mine is just gonna be code. Should just be code. But maybe I feel like I might be kind of missing the point on that. Let me pull one that's only PHP. And again, I'm just like making sure that there aren't any passwords that I'm about to splash on the screen. Yeah, okay, my tag is wrong. I knew it. I knew it was supposed to like turn red. There's supposed to be a question mark here. That's what I'm missing. So, try that. Okay, now it actually knows what I'm trying to do. Yay! Alright. Progress, maybe. Kill that. Run this again. Okay, place some towers. You know what I should do is probably just have the tower thing show up immediately. Faster shooting, longer range. Boom. Okay, send values now. Report sending complete. Alright, now we should have some form of something. Some form of something. Maybe. Did I actually upload the changes? I'm really good at missing critical steps like that. No, I probably didn't. Putting file now. Alright. Try this again. Click. Download progress. Uh-oh, okay, see, now it's actually trying to do stuff. Okay. No, that's good. I think it's good. Uncollapse here. Yeah, report sending is complete. That sounds great. Just searching my email for any new messages. Looking spam. Nothing is happening so far. So, forward, forwarding address. There's no form of error. Okay, so then, I mean, maybe I should try with some form of output to give error feedback from the script. So let's look back at mail. Functional is to send emails. Return value returns the hash value, the address parameter, or false on failure. Okay, so we can get some kind of output from it. So let's try that. Let's say mail result equals mail, and I'll say if mail result, I don't know if I want strict equality. I can't remember if I want that or not. I suppose I should just look at this file. And this other one that I'm not going to show you guys because it has sensitive info in it. Return. Okay, so yeah, this just returns that value. It's pretty straightforward. Email. Okay, so you can ignore the email. If send email, if not. Okay, so I can just do a little not check here. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Yes, good. Okay, cool. So if I just said that, if not mail result, then echo mail failed to send. At least that'll give me some kind of output from it. Else, why are you being weird? I suppose I could just do that here. Okay, echo mail sent successfully. And the echo in this case is just going to come back to the Unity code here. Response below. So then web request dot, how do we get that? Response header is done, is modifiable. Result. What are the options there? Seems like it could be useful. Public results. What is the result? In progress, success, connection error, protocol error, data processing error. Okay. Cool. That seems useful. Let's say debug.log web request, or I'll say Unity web request results. How's everybody doing? Is this interesting? keeping your attention today? What else? Debug.log web request dot. It's modifiable. It's network error method result timeout. Cool. Glad to hear it. Response result output. I just want output, like a string output. That's all I need. Oh yeah, yeah. Unity is one of those things that has gotten a little complicated. Nice, nice. I'm looking forward to seeing that. Okay, downloaded bytes. Turns the number of bytes of bit. Okay, I know I feel like I'm missing something really obvious as to how I'm supposed to grab that output here. Dispose, get response, return the value of a response header. Beginning communicating. Like, how does their example work? Put, post, get. Response header. When you say header, what exactly do you mean? If no header with a matching name has been received, no response has been received. In this case, it received multiple responses. Wait, you're coding it and putting me in it at the same time? That's some live ops action right there. My kudos to you. Downloaded bytes. Right? Downloaded. Okay, so download progress. Modifiable. Oh, you know what? It probably comes for the async, doesn't it? It comes for the async operation object. This thing. That would be a smart thing for it to do, right? To be here somewhere. No, it just gets me back to the same web operation. Progress, priority, async operation. It can pull a function callback. Yield instruction. What do you have to say about yourself? Nothing. Nothing of any value. Okay. I feel like I'm missing something really obvious here, and I'm not sure what it is. I mean, it's always something obvious. Okay, response headers. Boundary, get, post, put. URL. Okay, so let's say Unity web request string output. Retrieving text or binary data from an HTTP server. This is way out of date. Oh, no, I guess it's not that far out of date. They are showing Unity web request. Okay, so it says get function attaches a download buffer to the web request. Oh, okay. So they're saying you wait for it to finish. That's how they're doing it. If it has some kind of error, then we output that. HTTP error, that seems like something I should be checking for. Let's just put that on the back for a second. Let's say if not web request dot is HTTP error. That would be good to know, wouldn't it? Request dot is done. I'll just add another sing here. If web request dot is HTTP error. Whoops. Oh God, messed that up. Debug.log error. Report failed HTML or HTTP error plus web request dot error. Because if it's badly formed HTML or something, I mean that would make sense. It is sort of technically, but it, like my gut or what I'm thinking this is going to tell us is if the HTTP like code itself on the page has an error, that's what this is going to be. This would be more of like a you couldn't connect properly or something along those lines. But either way, I mean I want to try to see what the reason is or what the problem is. Yeah, so it should output through error here. We have a download handler. Got it. That's what I was missing. Okay, so this is where we would say web request dot download handler holds a reference to a download handler which manages the body of the data received from the server. Cool. All right. Download handler dot data, which would be an array of bytes. Text is probably what I want. Convenience property returns the bytes interpreted as a UTF-8 string. That seems a good place to start. Okay. Debug.log. I'll just remove that because it doesn't really apply anymore, and then I'll say web request output. Request is done. Okay, so this should give us some form of feedback, and at least we can kind of see what's going on. So ideally, if I've done this all correctly, it should print one of these two messages in that third item that I just added. Let's see if it does. Let's give the kitty some noms. Alright, Q, and then tower, and range, and fire faster, and send values, click button. Web request output was nothing. Syntax error expected, blah blah blah, something. Online 9. Okay, so there is some sort of PHP error that it's telling me about. Great, that's output. That's says it's success, but it's actually not. Line 9 has a problem here. Mail. Yes, good catch. There we go. That would do it. PHP likes $signs on their variables. At least the version of PHP that I'm used to likes that. Okay, so let's upload that change, which I probably also forgot to do. Coming back into Unity, This is why defensive coding is important, everybody. Write error message checks and those sorts of things. Output, so important. Okay, so throw in some. Oof, I'm like getting caught on cables and things. All right, what do we get? Error again. Line 19 this time. Progress. Anytime you get a new error message, you've made progress. It doesn't like that, which is interesting. Is it more of a, I do this? Is that how I do it? Is this how I'm supposed to be doing this stuff? It's been so long, you guys, and I don't care about web code nearly enough to remember this stuff. I just have to look it up every time. Yep, we are embedding it inside of the tag. We're not wrapping it with the tag. Okay. Okay. So it's a question mark down there as well, and then I'm just gonna left justify because that makes me feel better. If we get violence. I don't even remember what that's a response to, but that's what Kitty has to say. All right. Okay, so that's uploaded. Let's run this again. Come on now. I don't even care about changing values. Let's just click a button. Mail sent successfully. Wow. Do you think it... place bets, everybody. Did it actually work this time? Getting nothing. Right? Nothing. Checking spam now. Ah, here we go. Okay, it is here. It's in my spam. Cool. Actually. Let's see. I can just show you. Well, I mean, you can more or less figure out what it should look like, right? But throw this into Notepad. I mean, it basically looks like this. Like, that's what I got in the email, which is enough, right? It's not like it actually did come through. Of course, it's spam, right? Like, there's no reason for it not to be spam at this point. But you guys were wrong. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it basically worked. What would be great here, I guess, is if I would write like a loader to actually pull this information back into the editor, but I don't think I want to do that anyway, because the way I'm going to use it is not going to quite work that way. I would probably build prefabs out of this information rather than like pulling it directly in as it is. I was gonna say, you didn't. I think it was only Dylan who doubted me. Which is fine. I doubted me too. Alright, so success, basically, sort of, kind of. Could this be better? Absolutely. But it works. I'm trying to think of how I could streamline this a little bit more. I suppose it would be cool if we could highlight things that are actually of interest. So yeah, I think what I wanted to do is just add a form to like type in a message saying, hey, this is why I'm sending this. This is what I think is interesting. And then maybe even, no, I was gonna say add a subject line, but maybe not. Not spam. It's not spam. I'm not spam, you guys. Okay. So here we would now finally finish, or do stuff over here. Let's add some comments because I'm a bad person and I haven't commented. Finds the GUI controller reference here and here. Draws a text field for comments and then a button to send. Okay. So here we say do I have a thing for that? No, it's this utility thing that I want. Do I have a thing for strings? I just have this draw float slider. Oh, here we go. Draw labeled string field. Okay, it does exist. So, returns a bool. Got it. Okay. So, I don't know that I even care about the bool. Draw labeled. No, it'd be GUI utility dot draw. No, it's debug GUI utility. Debug GUI utility dot draw labeled string field. Wants the label. This would be comments, and then ref. I guess we have to have a private variable up here. Private string comments to send equals null. Or no, let's do string.empty. I like that better. Then we pass in the comments to send here. And that just will draw this text field. I don't have anything here to make it multi-line. I kind of want to do that. Does GUI layout have something separate for that? GUI layout dot text area. Yeah, okay. So I will actually make it a text area instead. Do I really want to do that as a totally separate function? Probably not. I'll just do this. Bool multi-line equals false. And I'll say if multi-line, then it would be string new value. If multi-line, then new value, oops, equals GUI layout dot text area value. I'm just going to leave it default. We'll see how that turns out. And then otherwise, we'll use text field. So this is this one's going to be like more of a multi-line box. This one's just a single line. I think the area might even have like a handle that you can drag to expand and that kind of stuff. So it's pretty cool, if I'm remembering it correctly. So then I just want to add a true to the end of it, multi-line. And then we're going to need to modify this function to now take in extra body information. URL, subject, and then body, I guess I'll call it, let's call it body. Can't think of anything better to call it. And then I think probably what I'll do is just start using body instead of JSON here. So I'll do a quick find and replace JSON with body. Let's replace, oh, nope, not there. That's fine. That's fine, I prefer to do it manually anyway. Body plus equals line break. Maybe I'll do a line break and then report contents begin here, and then another line break. All right, and that seems okay. This just needs to pull in that body, which I'm calling comments here. Comments to send. Okay. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Bro, check out this sick combo. Yada fast. Send values. Cool. Alright, did I get it? I did. Instantaneously. Cool. Yep, got the comments and then followed up by this mess of JSON, which is cool. Yeah, it works. Generally works. Hooray! Hooray for technology. Am I right? Or am I right? What's next? I did a thing that succeeds. I did a thing that works. I'm sort of like, I could do another build, but it sort of chugs the stream every time I do a build, so maybe I'll try to save it up for toward the end like I did last time again. But feeling pretty good that generally works now. Hooray! Alright. Nice. Very cool. Yeah, Unity is, I think, one of the more easy to learn game engines, so it's a good one to know, I think. If you just sort of set aside the complexities of C# in general, and it has a handful of things that are sort of a little bit, just a little funky, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, what was I saying? Okay, what I want to do is to figure out a way to use some kind of attributes to automatically create output for some of these things up here, which means that I need to remember how to work with attributes in C#, which is the thing that I feel like I did once before. Oh yeah, Godot, I've heard good things about that. Yeah, you got that. Okay, so what do I need to learn here? C# attributes. I think I'm gonna need to do reflection. I think that's how attributes work, which means that it's sort of this clunky system of generating code by looking at code while you're generating code, if that makes sense. Like attributes are these little things in the square brackets that go before a declaration of something, and they can be added and sort of created to have special meaning. Attribute targets. Target of an attribute is the entirety which the attribute applies to. Typecache? Okay. Let's look it up. You said that's a Unity thing? Unity typecache. Nice, okay. List the following components, get types derived from. Ooh, nice, okay. There's methods for fast type extraction from assemblies. There's an extra S here. Load it into the Unity domain. Use it to access attributes and derive types information. It allows arbitrary editor code to leverage from native cache data. Cool. I'm going to use extract types marked with specific attributes. Get types of attribute. Oh, okay, yeah. Types of attribute. Interesting. Returns a collection of types. Retrieves a collection of types marked with the T attribute. Custom editor. Oh, okay. Method provides fast access to all types loaded from the Unity domain assembly and marked with a specific attribute. But see, these would be not types, they would be variables in the way that I'm thinking. Because my thinking here is like, I don't need any of these to be showed on the screen, but I do want this to be shown on the screen and sort of editable. So I'd want to do something like show in debug panel or something along those lines. That's what I'm thinking anyway. And then I just have to define what this attribute is and then have it actually generate that. Like this bit of code is what it would generate, basically. Yeah, no worries. I appreciate your help. Like, totally, completely. This seems really useful. I mean, there's other ways that I could imagine to do this. I could also just write a class that I use instead of string. But it would just be so messy. It would be some sort of wrapper around a string that has to then tell this code to, like, add something to it, and it'd just be sort of, I don't know. Guess I could do that. Guess I could do it. Anyways, I feel like attributes belong better in that position. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like that's what an attribute is meant to do. Okay, so let's say writing custom attributes C#. Assign your own custom attributes. You do not need to master many new concepts. Hey, that sounds great. Applying the attribute usage. Okay, custom attribute declaration begins with an attribute usage attribute. Okay. Defines the key characteristics. Inherited. Or what it can be applied to. Okay. Attribute targets member. Yeah. No, totally. It's gonna be some really messy reflection code. The question, I guess, is, do I want it? Here's what I'd really love to do, is to have it generate that stuff at compile time. Is that even a thing we can do in C#? In Unity's mono develop, or, you know, mono C#? Unity. No, I guess I don't want Unity. I want C# generate code at compile time, like dynamic source code generation and compilation. Okay, seems good. There's a mechanism called a code document, code DOM. All right, you can go away. Defines types that represent. No, Gandalf. No, I don't want to be famous. Generate source code and compile a program. Using code DOM, generate source code, compile. Okay. Seems useful. Generating source code from code DOM, object graph. Okay, what are they doing here? So, generate C# code. This file goes hello world. Indented text writer equals new indented text writer. Compile unit. Code to provide. C# code. Okay. Yeah, this is the area where I probably don't want to dive into this on stream, because this is going to be probably a lot of fumbling around and figuring out what's going on, really. So maybe that's not quite the angle that I want to go down, but this attribute thing, I feel like I've used it once before. Target sub method. Okay, so inherited properties. So you create an attribute class. Multiple. False. Okay. Got it. Produces an error. Duplicates. Great. Declaring the attribute class. If you apply the attribute to the attribute, you begin to define the specifics of the attribute. Looks similar to the declaration of a class as demonstrated by the following code. You need to have a constructor and optional parameter equals optional data. So here they're defining my attribute to take in a bool, and then you actually write it here basically by calling the constructor on it. Parameter data. Okay, declaring properties. Some attribute example. So let's look at how they did it. Developer attribute. So they added the tag here. They created the fields, created the constructors that take in the values that they expect to be applied. So Joan Smith and 1. Plug into name and level. You have getters for everything because it's all private. You have some sort of additional bool data here with access. It's true. Okay, so you can also add other things. Great. I basically understand how to write the attribute now. Congrats to me. But how do we check it? How do we actually use it? Writing custom attributes. Hang on. I'm just going to use these steps and concludes with a custom attribute example. Applying the attribute. That's the driver directly. Retrieve information stored in attributes. Okay. Let's look through more of this documentation here. Applying the attribute to a code element, but placing it immediately. I kind of already know that stuff. Attributes. Okay, easy. All right, so this is where I think we need to dig in deeper. In following example, the developer attribute is applied to the main app class on the class level. Okay. Get attribute from main app. Get custom attribute by type. If my attribute is null. Okay, I think I basically understand what they're saying here. So, this is gonna crash and burn probably. I mean, it always does, right? First try never really succeeds. But let me see if I understand the gist of it at least. Make a little folder here for attributes. We'll call this show debug text field attribute. And over here they say you need to apply this attribute usage tag to it. So it's going to inherit from attribute, which is where? System. Okay, so we need using.system, or using system here. All right, so targets, what are the options here? Assembly module class struct enum constructor. No, it's going to be a field. Yeah, it's going to be a field. Okay, so we'll say int attribute targets dot field is, so it can only apply to variables basically. Inherited doesn't really apply here, I don't think. Allow multiple. No, I don't think that's going to work. Okay, and then you have to write a constructor for it, so it becomes show debug text field attribute, which I think can just be a default constructor. I don't know that it actually needs anything. I've got too many tabs. Finally, let's close some extra junk here, because I can't keep straight what's what. Okay, so you apply that. They've got the example here. Like, I don't actually think that I need any data here. So this might be really, really simple. It's just a tag, and it knows what to do if the tag's there. Then what I would want to do is to peek more at this next step. Go away. Not you. Is it here? No. I guess it is here. Yeah, we're definitely going to dive into some reflection stuff here. So, C# get members of class. Type.get members, okay. Or more specifically, maybe there's a get fields, because that's what I really want. Yeah, get fields. Fields is their word for variable, basically, as long as it's a member variable. Yep, we're diving into reflection, which is messy, but I think it's worth it. Okay, so then I think I want to place this in my GUI controller. Nice, congrats. I mean, it's done. It's always good, right? Okay, so I am gonna... Yeah, no, that's good. Let's just sort of test out, I guess, whether it recognizes the way I want it to. Show debug text field attribute does not seem happy. Is inaccessible due to its protection level. Right, I didn't make it a public constructor. And in fact, I think I could just sort of kill that and not have to worry about it, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine how you could be worried, because you don't really know what you're going to get with that. It's kind of annoying. Oh, camera, focus. Please, Cam. Cam, please. Please. That's the worst. Hang on. What's happening? Focus. There we go. I mean, I wish you luck, and you know, I have a lot of confidence in you. I'm sure you will do great. Yeah, it does seem redundant, doesn't it? Show. Yeah. Why are you not listening to me? That is completely redundant. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, show debug text field. Yes. Debug text field. Yes. Okay. And then I think GUI controller is going to want to do the reflection work on this. Hey, what's up? How you doing, Hyper? What's new? What's new with you? Any tips for doing a video message? So like they want you to record a video of yourself. Like, did they say anything else? Like what? Recording a video message. Tell me about myself. But tell them. Okay. Okay. Be natural. Be prepared. do multiple takes. I don't know. I don't have any. Like I don't know what else I could say about it. Yeah. Totally, Hyper. How you doing, man? I've got my green screen up today, and it's like the only thing I hate about it is it is not very wide, so I have to sort of play with it. Yeah, Dylan was saying that it's a internship. Yep. Okay, so I'm gonna try playing with attributes here. So what I need to do... No, it's not gonna happen here. It's gonna have to happen in the base class. Sorry guys, I really like this track. I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. It's gonna happen here. Or not here, I guess, but GUI drawable. So it needs some sort of thing that it does in the reflection up front. I guess it's gonna need to like store references to the bits of data that it wants to read and stuff like that. One chance to sell yourself. Yeah, that stuff's always hard, you know, sort of at face value to sell yourself in a video. I think they want... Think of it like a demo reel of yourself, I guess. I don't know. That's a weird one. I guess that's a sort of a new age type of thing that I've never had to think about before. Act natural, act likable. Those are some tips I have for you. Because they're probably not having you do this wanting some magical like specific thing that you say. They want to see a bit of your personality is probably what it's for. Yeah, I think what Glitch Jen is saying is totally true. Like it's gonna be really a test of your personality. Don't act weird. Yeah, just try to be natural and personable. Act like someone, like, here's how this is probably gonna go, right? They're gonna read your resume. If they like you, they'll look at your portfolio and maybe the video at that time, right? So they've already read your resume. Assume that they already have that stuff. So you're really just, like, following that up with a little bit of your personality, how you interact with people. So acting natural, acting likable, I think are really the key things here. Being honest, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they've looked at your resume. They'll probably look at your test as well. Or maybe they'll look at the video before the test. But anyways, you get the idea. Yeah, there's not a specific thing that they want you to say. Just be honest and likable, I think is the key there. Because that's the hidden requirement of any job, right? Is you have to be likable. People aren't going to want to work with you. Okay, so I'm trying to think here of, like, what is the data that I'm going to store? I need to store a reference to a string. Which I'm sure is a thing that in C# is totally doable, but it's like one of those things that I've never had to think about. How do I store a reference to a string? reference, or C# reference to string, I guess is reference to drawing a blank here. There's reference types and there's, can't think of, yeah, no worries. No worries. I appreciate you hanging out. You're awesome. C# reference type versus value type. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, C# reference to value type. Store a reference to a value type. That's what I need to do. Because normally string, if I were to say something like, okay, let's store every string that we want to appear in these fields. I want to store them here. If I did that, then I would be storing copies of those things, and that's not what I want. That's how strings work. They're called value types. What I really want is to treat it like a reference type, where I can store a reference to it, refer to it, and then if it makes changes, or if this code right here makes changes, I'll gesture with the cursor instead of this thing. Then it will like reflect those changes in both places. It's actually treating it as two ways to access the same thing. Something that in C++ is completely simple to do. Anyways, what are people saying? You can't store a reference to a variable in a field or array. Requires that a reference to a variable be in a formal parameter, a local, or a return type of a method. C# only likes it to be in a parameter, which I'm sort of aware of. I just, like, I need to take it further than that. What you need is a reference to store an alias to an arbitrary value, but if you need a reference in the sense of I need a magic token that lets me read and write a particular variable, and just use a delegate. You know what I can do? If I'm going to be in reflection land anyways, I think I can store a reference to a field. Maybe that's what I need to be doing. Probably what I'm going to do here is write a bunch of really messy code. I mean, I'm almost certainly going to write a bunch of messy code, but that's not the point. The point is, I'm gonna like make this really awful, and then I'll sort of figure out ways to streamline it, which is generally my process of like, let's just dive in and play with the code until I understand what the interface of the code is and what the pieces are that I need to care about, and then I go back and I clean it up. which makes writing code on stream especially fun because you get to see all the mess, and then I clean it up later when no one's looking half the time. Okay, on enable, on disable, great. Draw panels, great. GUI controller to add drawable. On enable is gonna do this stuff. I guess I'll just throw it down here at the bottom. Let's do private void get tagged fields, I guess. And it's like, I'm gonna call this on enable right here. Or something like that. Where it's like, anytime, or maybe I don't even need to do it on enable actually, now that I think about it. Because on enable is gonna get called every time an object's disabled and then enabled again. And I wouldn't need to do that because the attributes are not gonna change. Like, attributes are something you write at compile time, so really, ideally, I would do this at compile time, like I said, but it's going to be, like, as soon as the program wakes up, instead. On enable would potentially do it many times. I wanted to just do it once. So let's do something like virtual protected void awake. And awake is Unity's message for, hey, this object just got created for the first time, and immediately calls it. It's sort of like the constructor. Does a little reflection to find tagged, or tagged attributes to draw in the panel. Oh, okay, so then I would actually call it here. I don't actually know what this function is yet, but let's find out. Let's try to figure it out. So the one thing that I have found so far that is actually useful is, I had it a second ago. Where was it? No, not this one. This guy, system.reflection.fieldinfo get fields. And it's been a while since I had to do any reflection, but let's figure this out, shall we? So let's call this fields, and I'll say system.reflection. get fields. No, you don't like that. What? Oh, you're in system. Okay. Oh no, that's not what I wanted. Good old Control A and then delete. That's exactly what I wanted. Thanks. Get fields. You are not playing nice. Oh, okay. I haven't actually included system. Oh, is that even right? Get fields. No, you sort of suck. Why are you being weird about this? Okay, type.getFields. System reflection field info get fields. Okay, it's from the type. Got it. Duh. Alright, so I'll say this type equals son of a I'm like already drawing a blank on this again. Okay. I know I can do like type of this. I should just like rename this to watch me fumble. Okay. I know where I'm going with this. It's just it's sort of jumbled up in the brain somewhere. C# get type of object, I guess. Would it be type of this? Can I do that? Is that what I'm looking for here? Probably. Maybe. No, it doesn't like that. Type expected. Right. Yeah, type of is for checking a type. Okay, so then maybe it's this dot get type. Is that what I want? Yeah, okay, so that gives me the type. Alright. Yeah, now we're in business. Okay, so then I'll say fields equals this type dot get fields. Okay. But what would be even better is if there were a get fields with attribute. Anything about attributes here that I could use? Get fields, displaying fields that have special name attributes. Is special name. Kind of hate this example. Field 0 has a special name attribute. Okay. Field sub I is special name. Is special name like an actual built-in concept? That's weird. Field info is special name. Examples, get fields, current field info. Okay. Super quick before I dive any deeper on this, let's just check a quick peek back at the attribute documentation that I was looking at earlier. Retrieving a single instance of an attribute. An attribute method uses get custom attribute. Huh. Type of developer attribute. What the heckity heck is happening? Alright, I mean, I'll just have to do this the messy way. Like I said, I'm trying to like find ways to make this a little bit less messy, but let's just get into it. Okay, so we're gonna have to basically do a bunch of things here. So we get the type of the subclass, hopefully. I guess I'll put in here like a to do. Does this actually get the subclass, or will this get this class? Because that's a question, right? Like if I call get type, will it give me GUI drawable, or would it jump to something like, I don't know, what was another example? This one. And would it actually give me area spawner, or would it still just be giving me GUI drawable? Thank you. It's messy in a good way. It's a good kind of messy. Anyways, and then we're gonna go through find all variables in this type, and then what we have to do with that information is go through all the variables and check if they have the tag. So for each var field in fields. And then how do they do it? Attribute.get custom attribute. Get attribute type of main app. Get custom attribute. Okay, so var string field attribute equals field dot get custom attributes. It has get custom attributes plural. It's cool. IntelliCode suggestion based on this context. Yep. What is data? System collection reflection custom attribute data. Okay, that seems less useful. Okay, so we're gonna grab this. I don't know if I want the inherit thing or not. What does that actually mean? Bool inherit. Explain. Let's keep a million tabs open, right? C#. Get custom attributes. Okay, so true would mean to search the member's inheritance chain to find the attributes, otherwise false. Okay, so I think what that would mean is if I had anything tagged here, then it would include it. Otherwise, it's only going to include things that are actually tagged here in the subclass directly, which doesn't really matter. But the other thing that seemed interesting was this version, which takes in a type. Type of attribute to search for, only attributes that are assignable to this type are returned. That seems way more useful. So it'd be type of... and what did I actually call it? Show debug text field. So that would go there, and then I'll say, well, let's go true. Let's go true, actually, now that I think about it, because we could inherit from this script later on and want to include things in this script as well as the subclass of it. I use the word script and class probably too much interchangeably. Okay, so if string field attribute is not null, I actually want to cast this as a show debug text field. So we're going to do that here. You're not happy with that. Why is that? Oh, I put it in totally the wrong place? No, I guess we'll have to do more of a dynamic cast. You have to do as, and then that. You are still quite unhappy, and why? Cannot convert type object array. Oh, okay, it's actually an array. Interesting. Cool. Got it. So now this is an array of those attribute objects. And then if we say, if that is not null, and is not empty, or dot length is greater than 0. And because we aren't allowing multiple applications of the same attribute anyway, there should only ever be 1 or 0. So I could be able, or I should rather, be able to just say, hey, we're here. Now we know we need to start drawing this field in the panel. So in other words, I hope I'm like explaining this kind of helps me, but I want this to be interesting for you guys as well. But if we go back to what was the example I was playing with, I think I closed it. Hang on. Report GUI. Yeah, okay. So if I add this text field, the idea is that now it will know that this field is here, and it will know that this needs to be drawn. Whatever this value is needs to be drawn on it, on the panel. So that's where we are. Now the question is, what do I actually do with that information? I suppose what I could do is keep an array of fields, because at this point I have this thing, which is sort of like a wrapper or kind of like a reference to this variable. So I think that's what I want to do. So I'm going to have a private, I do it as a list. Probably I'll do it as a list. Private list of, whoops, field? Isn't that a thing? Does not exist in the current. Sorry, this should be system.collections.generic. Turns a type. What does get fields actually give me? Field info. Okay, got it. List of field info. You still aren't happy. It's not existing. Okay, system.reflection. I like these to be alphabetical because I'm like that. Okay. String fields equals new list of field info. Why does it feel like this is not changing enough? Okay. I feel like we're getting like 5 tracks over and over again. Alright, so this is going to be a list of string variables that have been tagged with the, not that. These should get drawn automatically when draw GUI is called. That's the idea anyway. That's where I'm going with this. Okay. So then, yeah, so that would just mean string fields dot add field. Boom, easy. Yeah, I think that's where we want to be. So I think at that point I want to test if it actually finds it correctly, but I also want to just sorry, you broke my brain a little bit. I want to actually see if I can write the code that would then draw it the way I want it to be drawn. And ultimately, I guess, like, I want to be able to make this draw GUI not have to be abstract, and therefore most of the time I don't have to worry about writing it ever in the subclass. It just takes care of itself. That's where I'm going with this. So let's make this not an abstract function. It's now just a virtual function. Virtual bool. Where does virtual go? Why does virtual go at the beginning but override doesn't? That's weird. Now I'm confused. That's okay. Okay, so we're typically going to return false. Great. Okay, so here's where we say for each our string field in fields. No, what did I call it? I called it string fields. We're going to grab that field, and what are we going to do? We're going to print it. So now my question is, I have this thing called a field info object. What does that actually tell me? Here we go. Here's special name. Great. Like, I still don't know what that is, but that's funny. Is it literal? Is it assembly? Is it what is the type of it? That's useful. Is it static? That's also useful. Get value. That's the thing that I want. Direct. What is this typed reference thing? That's interesting. Not CLS compliant. Typed reference. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I think I know where I'm going with this. Or at least one way I could handle it, let's say. So again, the whole idea here is I'm going to eventually, or maybe not eventually, maybe right now, hopefully, I'm going to be able to just do this. And this is what I want it to handle. So here it would appear. Now we just have to figure out what to replace these things with. So I guess this would be string field dot name. Which makes sense, right? Because if I called this comments to send, this would be comments to send. That's what appears here. The string would be string field dot. I guess I have to store the string temporarily here, so let's go with var value equals string field dot get value. So it'd be ref value. And then for now, I'll just... wait, hang on. There's no argument given that corresponds... Okay, so I have to cast it as a string. At this point, I have to kind of know that it's a string. You seem unhappy about that still. I always get mixed up between that version of the cast and this one. Nope, still not happy. Okay, hang tight. There's no argument given that corresponds to the required formal parameter object. Oh, I just noticed that. So what does it actually want from me there? If I said field info dot get value, maybe it wants a type. Probably wants a type. The object whose field value will be returned. Public abstract object get value. Right, it needs to know the instance. Okay, that would be this. And this was going to be object, but I do want it to cast a string. Yeah, we have to specify here because there could be like 5 different objects running the same code. It needs to know which one of those 5 it's actually getting the value for, because they could all be different. Okay, so then we're plugging in the value, and then we're going to plug the value back into the object. So I say string field dot set value for this with value. So pull out the string current value, show the panel, and then put the possibly updated value back in. So maybe I'll do it more like this. I'll say if true, because that would only need to call it, this would only be true if it has in fact changed, because I already wrote in that part. And that way, if there is some extra work that has to be done with this set value thing, which there probably is, we can avoid it. We don't have to call set value even if it's not changing, because that will be getting called every frame in that case, which is more than it needs to. So in theory, this will allow us to completely erase part of this code. Like this part we don't need. It can go away now. The only difference is that I need to call base.drawGUI here to ensure that it draws, or it calls this version of the function before this one over here. Have I really done everything already? That feels too fast. Sometimes it's like you're sort of walking down this path and then you turn a corner and you're there. That's how it feels sometimes. Okay. No compiler errors. That's a bit shocking. Okay, so what we're hopefully going to see is that it will show that send values thing, and then I open that up and there's a text field, which there totally isn't. So that means it failed. That's progress. We've got something. We've got something we can look at now. So let's do awake, get tagged fields. It should be calling it. Yeah, I'm going to set a breakpoint here. I'm going to attach the debugger. I'm going to give it a sec to wake up and do the debuggy thing. I actually got this, my actual fidgety cube. Okay, so it's doing it. So let's step in. And we can sort of keep an eye on what's happening down here. So this is a debug report GUI object. That makes sense. For each field in fields, which apparently is none. There are no fields. Oh, maybe it has to be public? Probably would have to be public, wouldn't it? I don't want it to be public. Okay, so there's probably like some sort of parameter that I need to play with get fields, I think. So backing up here, where is get fields? All right, guys, we need to like clean this up. Way too many tabs. I don't think I need you, or you, or you, or you, or you, or you, or you. Okay. Much easier. Okay. Attributes, great. Field info, great. I'm sure it came from one of these tabs. Here we go. Get field. What are we looking at right now? Field info, okay. Okay, get fields. Get fields, okay, let me just read what it says here. Return all public fields. Look at that. That's keyword number 1, that's my problem. Public fields are an empty array of type field info if no public fields are defined. Remarks does not return fields in particular order. Yep. Following table should show base class. Okay, hide by name, consider all parts of the custom modifiers. Hide by name, custom attributes are not part of the system. Binding flags, a bitewise combination of the enumeration values that specify how the search is conducted. Binding flags, let's look at that. Create instance declared only, exactly binding, get field. Yeah, I understand acorns, please. Member, get property, ignore return, non-public array. Let's do that. Okay, so I think we do need that. We're gonna do binding flags dot non-public. Let's see if that helps. Kitty looks extra big, doesn't he? Like this kitty is bigger than the other one. No, nothing's happening. All right, let's see. Why have you failed me this time? Attaching debugger again. You know, Dank, I might get in trouble, but it's just the kids need to learn, you know? Just kidding. How you doing? Fields is null, stepping over. We still got 0 fields, which is dumb and a half, because if we look at the actual type, debug report GUI, we have 4 variables here. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4. And it's not finding any of them, which is weird. This is a debug report GUI. That's weird. This type is debug report GUI. Okay, got it. Okay, so fields still 0. I don't understand. I don't understand why it's acting like it's not finding any fields. Why would that happen? I wonder if you can actually step into that stuff. I guess you can. Okay, so maybe there's something else going on here that I am totally missing. Fields are returned, define if none of the defined fields match the binding constraints. Let's see how they use it. Get attributes. Okay, here we go. Get fields. Binding flags.public. Or no, that says public. I said non-public. Okay, let's do a quick test here. Let's make this public, shall we? Doesn't feel right, but let's do it. It's a test. Still nothing happening. So there's something else wrong then, probably. Because I don't think it, well, now would it exclude the non-public? Or no, would it exclude public if I just said non-public? Like that? Okay. One more test here. Attach the debugger again. Step in. We got one field. There is, in fact, one public thing. Okay, so hitting continue here, I'm just going to let it go, because it's going to do this a million times. It does work. Okay, so there's something about the binding flag that I need to play with a bit more than, probably. Okay, so let's see. Binding flags. I think I may need to specify things like it has to be an instance variable. Only variables declared at the level of the supplied type hierarchy should be considered. Inherited members not considered. That's not right. Stack binding, flatten hierarchy, get field. Ignore case, ignore return, instance. Yes. Okay. So maybe that's what I need to add. Binding flags.instance or non-public. And this just means that anything that's not tagged as a static variable should be part of the search. I suppose I could include public too. I guess that can't hurt. Binding flags.public. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay, so it's doing it. I just turned the corner and I figured out that this actually works okay. Is it a little messy? Sure. Reflection's always really slow because it's like when you compile stuff, it generates a bunch of like binary data and it's actually digging through the data to find the things that it's supposed to do. But it does the thing that I want it to do, which means that now I can just make little adjustments to kind of get it where I need it. So here's something that I want to add. I want to add a parameter to this. So it's going to be a private bool multi-line, I guess. Equals false. I can't spell. Multi-line. Okay, so then we write a constructor for it. Debug, show debug text field bool multi-line. And I'll say this dot multi-line equals multi-line. And then I'll have to add a getter for it, which is, I don't know, it's sort of a roundabout thing, but that's just the thing to do. Public bool multi-line get, sorry, no, yeah, that's right. Get return multi-line. I don't think I need to bother setting it. Whether to draw this field as a multi-line, area or not field. Sort of the terminology that Unity uses. Thanks for the hype, by the way. Okay, so then this just means that I want it to say something like multi-line equals, no, hang on. Wait, I saw a couple of different ways to do this. I think I like this one better, maybe. Multi-line equals, no, it doesn't like that. I swear that I saw it in their example. Hang tight, everybody. We're figuring it out. We're still learning stuff. Inherited equals false. Allow multiple, don't care. Declaring the attribute class. Declaring constructors. Optional parameter, that's not as cool as I wanted it to look. Yeah, they have reviewed equals true. Oh, okay, it has to be a setter. Got it. So it actually has to have the set part of it. So line equals value And then what I would do is multi-line with a big M. Oh, still doesn't like that. Wonder why. Using the abbreviated name developer in one of the following ways. It's so weird. Maybe it has to have at least one, like, explicit parameter. That seems like the type of thing it would do. Is multi-line. Okay, so maybe this would just be true. You're still very unhappy with this. Show debug bool is inaccessible. Oh, I'm such an idiot. Such a dummy. Okay, let's put public in front of this. No, still don't like that. There's no argument given that corresponds to the required formal parameter is multi-line. Right, okay, take out that parameter. This is me like, this is my, is it gonna work face? I like it. All right, cool. I actually like this because it's really just super clear what's happening with this attribute, which makes me happy. So, coming back up here, let's get value. Now this is going to be a bit messy because now I need to pull that attribute data back out here. I don't really love. I think I'm going to do things a slight bit differently here. I'm going to add a little struct up top. It can be a private struct even. Private struct. I'll just call it string field, I guess. Or debug string field. And it's going to have a public field info field and a public bool is multi-line. And now this will be a list of debug string fields. Debug string fields. And this is just encapsulates reference to the variable and whether the attribute allowed was multi-line or not, I guess. And the reason why I want to do that is because if I do it here, then I can pull that information way down here instead of having to do it over and over again like I do. Like draw GUI or anything like draw GUI where you're calling it constantly, you want to do as little work as you possibly can. So if you can do any other work up front and have it just happen once, like this one right here is only going to get called once, that's better. So we're going to do string fields.add and I'll say new string field. And this will take in, I think I can do it with a pair of curly braces, right? Yeah. Field equals field, and is multi-line equals string field attribute dot multi-line. Right, this is misnamed. This has to be element 0 dot multi-line. How's that? Okay, cool. So we're pulling that information, whether it's multi-line here, we're plugging that in here. So, you know, very beginning, we do as much of the work as we can. We don't have to keep doing it later. All right, so down here, we're going to go with string field.field.get value, string field.field.name, and then string field.field.set value. Whoops. And I'll do if string field.is multi-line I'll do is multi-line and basically all of this exactly as it is can go here. You are missing something. That's probably what it is. Multi-line. multi-line panel. This would be single line panel. This will be else. If that feels wrong, because if it isn't multi-line, it'll jump, but it also, if nothing changes, it will print twice. So I'm doing this a little bit messy. Maybe I don't want the if part. Maybe I want to add this as well. If it's not multi-line, then we'll draw it. That feels better. Okay, string field.set value. That goes in 2 places. That's not too bad. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, that's it's a pretty good mix. I like that one. I used to be really proud about the fact that I never played DDR, and then I tried it once at someone's house and I actually enjoyed it, and I didn't want to tell people that. But now you know. Okay, so this seems to be fine. I can get rid of that to do because I've sort of answered that question. Does this mean you're done with your video there, Dylan? Okay, I think we're in a good place here. So we can kill the debugger. I don't know why that's still on. Okay, so now coming back to debug report GUI. Sticks to your feet. That feels weird. Cool. So I can do this here. Now I can go through basically everything that's GUI drawable. Let's just find all references to this guy. Area spawner is one of them. Do you have any strings? We don't have strings for this, so I can't really use it yet. Input controller. Nice. Yeah, don't you hate that? That's the thing with video that really sucks for me, certainly, is like, I want total privacy. If I get interrupted, it just totally screws up my train of thought. You guys have seen it happen. Like, when I'm writing courses for the online stuff at work, I have to, like, sequester myself in a room for hours at a time to get that stuff done. It's the worst. Okay, so draw GUI is a little bit custom. It's already overriding, so maybe I don't want to mess with this one very much. In fact, I'm sure that I don't want to mess with this one very much. Yeah, for an array, this is actually not going to go as easily as I want it to. I might have to do a separate one for an array. Projectile, string, target tag, enemy, that one doesn't need to change. Simple movement, those are not strings. Spawn at cursor, input name, it's kind of a string. No, I don't think I want that changed either. Yeah. I'm looking for places that I can actually use this attribute, and guess what? It's used in exactly one place, but that's okay, because the point is I can use it again later, so no worries. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup here. Let's pull this back, and I'll just put all the attributes in one place. That feels like a reasonable thing to do. Attributes. Yeah, that doesn't need to exist. All right. Maybe I will rename this to show debug panel text field. Show, hang on. Show text in debug panel. I think I like that name better. I hope I didn't break anything by doing that. Let's find out. 2 succeeded. All right, cool. We don't actually need this constructor at all. I'm pretty sure it default creates a constructor for me. All right, so then we'll do another class here. Public class. This one would be show float with slider. in debug panel. Attribute. Same sort of stuff going on here. I bet you there's some parameters that might be interesting or useful for this. Not sure what they are yet, but maybe I'll think of them. Use this, place this attribute on a variable to add it to the debug output. Printout, debug panel. On a string to add it to the debug panel. Place this attribute on a float to add it to the debug panel with a slider. Alright, I don't know that I need anything else here, but yeah, I just had a thought, like, do I need to do something a little different here? I don't think I do. I think it's fine. Alright, let's just move this around a little bit. And then we're going to do sort of the same thing again. Or maybe we don't need to. Maybe this time we'll just do a straight up list of field info. This would be float sliders. Float slider fields, let's say. Equals new list of float slider fields. Like so. You are unhappy. That should just be field info. A list of float variables that have been tagged to show a slider and field. And I guess the same thing applies here. Keeping things as neat as I can. Okay, and then coming down here, we're going to sort of repeat this process. We're going to say var float slider attributes equals field.get custom attributes type of show float with slider in debug panel, comma true as show float with slider in debug panel. Okay. So this would be string attribute, string attributes, fields, string fields with attribute. This would be float fields with slider attribute. Right, it's an array. If float slider attributes is not null, and float slider attributes, no worries. Specifically what's going on right now is I added an attribute to, so I'm creating attributes here, and attributes, you know, of course, are these little things in the square brackets that you put before declarations in C#. And the ones that I've added are one up here for any variable that I add to a mono behavior script that I want to be drawn in the debug panel, which is the little panel that shows up in the top left corner of the game that I have set up. And so I'm just able to put these now on any variable that should show up in that panel, and then I don't have to write any custom code down below. It just will automatically show up. The only thing I guess that's a little bit less than ideal is that, like, the name is going to print exactly as written, which I could probably fix. I think there's actually a utility in Unity for pretty printing names of variables. It is useful. It is actually. I sort of had in my head for, you know, weeks, this is the thing I wanted to do. I thought it would be a little bit more complicated even than it was. It turns out to be not that hard. You're just writing a class that inherits from attribute. You're adding this thing right here to it. You're adding any variables that you want it to have, which show up kind of like this. And the one that I'm doing now, too many files open. The one that I'm doing now is for the float sliders, and it's not here. It's, where did it go? Here it is. And then I'm just writing some code on the back end that basically on awake looks for those attributes and says, hey, I'm going to add these to a list, and then every time I tell it to draw, it goes through that list and prints them all. So we're just saying float slider fields dot add new. It actually doesn't have to be new. It could just be float slider attributes. No, it would be field. Like, how do we do it? Add this field to the list. Let's say at this point we've established that this field has the attribute, has the slider attribute, so add it to the list. Actually, I'm wondering, you know what, I'm not even gonna bother with it. I'm gonna add it to do, I guess. I'll do it later, maybe. To do replace these lists with vectors / dynamic arrays. I can't recall if I've ever actually done that in C#. I just got used to using list, but I know that list is not ideal in terms of like runtime performance, because you're constantly having to step through in order to get to all the different elements. Not cache friendly and that kind of stuff. At this point, we established this field as the slider attribute, so add it to the list. Okay, and then up here, we just have to also include it in this sort of same thing. So this is like, go through all the tagged strings and draw them in the panel. And this one is going to be, go through all the tagged floats with sliders and draw them in the panel. So, whoops, for each var float field, float with slider, let's just say float slider field in float slider fields. I guess sort of a similar kind of thing here. We're going to grab value, except we know it's a float this time. Float slider field. We don't need the dot field part for that one. And then there is only one version of this. With the string version, we had a multi-line version and a single-line version. We just have the one now. So I'm going to just say if, and then it was debug. Let me just pull it from somewhere. Like spawn at cursor does this. Here we go. Boom. This part right here, we're just going to put if and then that, and then instead of x scale, we're going to go with float slider field dot name, and then ref float slider field dot, or no, this will just be value because we've already extracted it up here. And then in terms of min and max, okay, so those are the values. These are the, like, this is my process here, right? Like, I'll just cut a chunk of code, put it somewhere else, and then when I come across things that I'm like, oh, I didn't actually get a proper answer to that, that's when I'll stop and I'll go back and I'll add those things. So that just tells me that we need to change this attribute to actually take in those two values. We're going to have private float min, and then private float max. I'm going to put the getters for them. Public float min get return min. You know, I could do auto properties, I guess. Probably actually the smarter thing to do. Get set. Like, there's really literally no reason not to do this. So let's just do it. Just makes it a little bit neater. Public float max get set. Yeah, kind of like that. And then here's what it will look like. What was it? Spawn at cursor. So I'll just go up to scale. Ooh, I might have to do one for vector 3. That's going to be a separate task, actually. Simple movement. No. Where does speed come in? That's okay. Trying to find places where I can actually use this. Here we go. Serialized field. So here I can say, what's it called? Float, show float with slider and debug panel. It's like probably a really long name. Maybe I should make it shorter, but that's okay. Min equals 0.1 f, max, whoops, equals 1 or 10. I think that's probably it. Okay, seems good. Is that messy? Sure. I don't know that I like it all in one line. It's very, very sort of long. Maybe I should just break it out if I'm going to use multiple attributes on something. Maybe I'll do it like that. But it should, in theory, work. Coming back to here, we're just going to have to grab the min and the max here, which means I do need a struct. I need to come back up here, create a struct, private struct, debug, or let's just call it float slider field. Maybe I'll just call this string, I don't know, I'll call it text field. That feels like a thing that already exists, but that's okay. Same as before, public field info field info field public float min. Actually, you know what? I could probably do this a little bit neater. What if I said field with attribute, and then I make it generic, where we're gonna have two types here. Actually, we're gonna have the field type and the attribute type, and attribute type. Well, good question. What makes code messy? It can mean a lot of things. There's the visual messiness of it. For me, anytime I look at code that has too much information crammed too densely, I would call that messy. So it means things like adding more white space in between. That can make things look less messy to me. Code can also be considered messy if it does things that are not best practices. And like there's certain little things, like there's a lot of things you could do in programming that are like the easy way, but they're not considered the right way. So if you spend too much of your time doing things the easy way... Oh, really? Did it die for you guys too? Let me know if you're all having issues. Is that everyone or just... Okay, cool. Thanks for confirming. Yeah, like repeating chunks of code for sure is one of those things where it's like, hey, here's 100 lines of code. I need to do that here and also here, so let's just copy and paste it. Like that's a quick and easy thing to do. Writing a function is the right way to do it. You take that 100 lines of code, you put it in a new place, you wrap a function call around it. You sometimes have to add parameters. You sometimes have to return stuff. Sometimes you have to then call it from over here and then over here, and it's like that ends up being, more steps. That's the sort of thing that I would say. Yeah, and Glitch probably has opinions. Dylan, I'm sure, has opinions. It could mean that too. It could mean efficiency as well. Like not so much about how the code is written, even like how it looks, how it's organized, but how it runs could be called messy. Yeah, that's the question. Like, if code works and gets the job done, but it spends more time doing it than it minimally would need to, that you could consider that messy. Maybe I wouldn't use the word messy so much as inefficient there, but it's more about the visual and the organization, prevention of duplication, that sort of stuff. I hope that answers the question. System.attribute, yes. Okay, so this is going to be... Yeah, mostly readability. I'd say more readability than anything else. This will be attribute type. I don't want this to be a struct. I just realized this should be a class. Yeah, that's totally true. Glitch is right for sure. Sometimes single purpose functions is a high bar for me. Like, these are certainly doing sort of more than one thing. Like, the definition of single purpose function is a bit fuzzy sometimes, but in theory, like, that's, yeah, definitely the kind of thing you want to try to do. Okay, encapsulates reference to the field, to the variable field, as well as the attribute. Prevents us from having to retrieve the attribute too often. Okay, so what I want to do is get, let's do field type get value. I think. Yeah, you're right. Like, there's a couple places that, like, this, for example, this right here is very easily the same pattern as this one down here. It can't necessarily prevent them from being duplicated, though, because there's some intricate details that are different between the two. So yeah, it's sort of hard to avoid sometimes. I'm trying to sort of figure out what I'm doing with this class right here. I made this a generic class because I feel like I could actually use the same attribute for both strings and for floats. And I'm just adding some sort of utility functions to make that a little bit nicer. And abstracting tree traversals, that didn't go too well because sometimes I want to do the thing before or after. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying. Like, then you get presented with a choice here. Do I want to write this anyway and maybe have a parameter that could account for those differences, or is it not even worth the trouble of trying to make that work? Would it make more sense as a separate function entirely? Could it be two functions that then call a third function that's the same? Like, who knows? There's a lot of different ways to do it. Okay, so let's do public field type value get field dot set, or get value. It would be return field dot get value. You are unhappy, right? Because you would have to be. Okay, yeah, that's not going to quite work the way I wanted it. I'll have to actually make it a regular old function now. This would be public field type. What's that? What's that? Okay. You can have. Cecil, not universally. Like, everyone has different standards. When I'm teaching this stuff, what I say is there are some things that most programmers generally agree on. That's about the best you can do. And those are the things that I try to teach. It's things like don't actually have public variables, have private variables with public getters and setters and that kind of stuff. It's like, I'm already not doing that. You can see right here I'm not doing that. So no, there's not like a universal standard. It depends on where you came from, what industry you're working in. Are you in web? Are you in games? Are you working in banking, like software? Who knows? Yeah, that's a good goal. Like, really, the best thing you can generally expect is a team creates a standard. So if I were to work at like Electronic Arts in their engineering team, they would have a standard that they've written that everyone there conforms to. But those same programmers working there doing that stuff, if they go home and work on their own projects, probably have things that they do differently. Not everyone agrees with it. So Dylan, your question, can you have generic attributes? It's a good question. Maybe you can. Yeah, I feel like actually you can. Maybe I don't know for sure. Like, this isn't per se the actual attribute itself. This is just a sort of wrapper for it. Maybe I'll even call it that. Nah, I won't call it that. Anyways, public field type get value. I guess it's just going to be object instance return field return field type field.get value instance. Yeah. I think, Dylan, the more I think about it, I was thinking of like require component that Unity has, but even they don't actually make it generic. It uses system.type, and that's probably why they probably didn't have that workaround. Private versus public, sure. If I had my thingy plugged in, I could actually illustrate it for you. Maybe I will do the thing. In a nutshell, the idea between public and private is when you create a class, you're basically creating like a little package of information, and public is stuff that is relevant and should be visible outside of that package, where private is stuff that should not be visible outside of that package. I don't actually have a really good program to like illustrate other than Illustrator, so maybe I'll boot that up. I don't know if I probably would be overkill at this point to bother illustrating it. I hope that analogy makes sense though, because if you imagine, like, rather than, let's say, not a package so much as like a machine, if your class is a little machine that has its job to do, the public data is stuff that someone looking at it from the outside should be able to poke in and access. Whereas private stuff is stuff that only other parts inside that same machine should be accessing. And so typically the wisdom is you don't make data or variables directly accessible, and therefore you make them public almost never. But you can have functions which are more like buttons that you press on the machine. You can make those public because that's how you interact with the machine. So if this was, for example, like a toaster, I'd have a button to like pop down the toast. And then maybe I'd have another button for popping back up the toast, or maybe it's the same button, but you get the idea. And those things would be public, but internally to the toaster, there's also little mechanisms like, okay, when this thing gets popped down, I want to start heating. And so then it has to like start pulling electricity from the cable, and like those sorts of things that, looking at it from the outside, you don't really care how it does those things, you just care that it does them. And those would be the private parts of it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. If not, I've got Illustrator running now, and I can try again. Return field type and get value instance. Yes, good. Okay, and then public field type. Or no, this would be public void set value object instance field type value. Field dot set value. Private parts need more illustrating. Yes. No. No. Not those kinds of private parts. That's not it. That's the thing though, right? Like, imagine your toaster. If you could like reach into your toaster and directly manipulate the part of it that pulls electricity, and you could directly manipulate the part of it that takes that electricity and uses it to heat up the metal. Like if you could directly press those buttons and make those things work, those would be public functions. And so that would be crazy, right? Like we don't want just any old person coming along and poking around in those things internal to your toaster. And so that's the sort of general philosophy behind making things private as much as possible, and only making things public when it actually makes sense for the external systems to like interact with it. Okay, so this will... I don't even want to comment this stuff. Like sometimes I feel like the code is sort of self-explanatory and I won't comment it. Is that bad? Am I a bad person? Okay, so this is changing how we're handling things a little bit. This is now a list of field with attribute which uses string as the field type, and the attribute for it is, I've already forgotten, show text in debug panel. So I'll just cut this and plop it here, and then I'll just say var. I can do that, right? I can't. Ah, that stinks. Oh, sure. Yeah, I can work the opposite way too. It can be a hindrance when it's like, oh, I accidentally made the plugin function of the toaster private. Now you can't plug in your toaster. Well, great. Now you need someone, an engineer, to write you some extra code to do that for you. Like, that sucks, right? So it can be a hindrance in that way too. Make you feel like an ignorant peon. Don't feel ignorant. I mean, this is stuff like, people pay a lot of money to learn this stuff, so don't worry about it. Yeah, you can kind of hack your way around in most systems. Like, actually what I'm doing here with this reflection system, one of the things that I'm literally telling it to do is to give me access to things that are not public. I did it with the flag here. This right here gives me the ability to actually poke in at those points, even though they didn't intend for me to ever do that. Is it really glitch? Nice. I mean, I do teach this stuff for a living. I don't think I've ever used a toaster specifically. Hey, what's up, DC? How you doing? Good to see you. We're just chatting computer science over here, you know? We're getting real hot and heavy. Don't feel ignorant, peon. Yeah, no, you're not. You're not. Not ignorant. Like, honestly, how long did it take me before I could understand that explanation I just gave? Like, before I came up with the understanding that led me to create that explanation. I probably was programming for 10 years or so. And like, when I say programming, I mean counting from the first time I wrote a hello world in ActionScript or something. Like, it barely counts, but still, you know, that understanding, you either have someone teach it to you in a class, you know, you take a real computer science lecture or something, or you just play with it long enough that it suddenly starts to make sense after a while. Yeah. Dylan's totally right. I wonder, Glitch, I'm not sure what you mean by tried to understand it a few years ago. I'm curious what it refers to there. I'm not sure I get the context. Okay, new list of field attributes. Okay, so this is gonna have a parentheses at the end. And then you've got like the level of programming understanding, which is like, hey, let's look at this really nasty looking line of code right here and understand it. Well, I'm still at a level where I'm like, what is all this stuff? Okay, there's actually a missing extra, that goes there and that goes there. Yes, there we go. Made it work. Oh, okay, I got you, Glitch. Yeah, Saturday afternoon, yeah, it's kind of a weird niche for software development. I actually sort of get myself up a little early to do this because I enjoy doing it. It's nice that it motivates me to actually do stuff like this because, honestly, before I started streaming, I went way too long without doing anything like this whatsoever. So it's kind of funny to like do it on a day when people are normally watching Saturday morning cartoons and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I got you, Glitch. Yeah, I think... Yeah, there's like a level of programming where you can totally ignore that stuff. And some languages are totally fine with that, like JavaScript doesn't even have the concept. But once you get into deeper, like in games, we really have tons of data flying around, so concepts like that are like really important to writing clean and not terrible code. Cool. I mean, sorry, I don't mean that in a mean way whatsoever, but I guess by you saying it makes you realize what you don't know, it makes me realize what I do know. So it makes me feel good, I guess. So thank you. But yeah, not knowing everything, you know, I don't know it. There's a ton of stuff that I don't know for sure. This is already really nasty, but I'm doing it. Let's do this. Let's go using string field equals this mess. And now I'm going to do something to make this less messy. So you asked about messy earlier. This to me is kind of messy, this line, because there's a ton of information happening here. Not only that, but it's also really redundant. Like you can see list, field, string, show blah, list, field, string, show blah. Like all that stuff is very redundant. So I'm going to make this more concise and therefore easier to understand without having to like really focus your energy on it to read it. And I'm just going to pull this whole sequence right here, put it in a using statement, and then replace what you saw earlier with that. I don't think you like that though, do you? Using clause must precede all other elements. Oh, why do you do that to me? No. No, I can't use using here? Can I really not? Is C# really that poopy? Alright, well, never mind. I can't do that thing that I would have done. That's a thing that you would totally do in C++. So I guess we're stuck with this really messy looking mess. Alright. Okay, so then that just means though that I can also do this. Field with attribute. This is a float. Yeah, that really stinks. Show float with slider in debug panel extra thingy. Inside the namespace. Oh yeah, that's what I probably should be doing, is a namespace for that sort of thing. Good call. Still missing something. Yes, field with attributes. There we go. See? Everyone struggles with that stuff. Alright, that means I've broken all of my code. So let's come back down here, and we're saying not text field that we're doing here. We are doing string fields.add new text, or no, it would be new field with attribute, where the field type is string and the attribute type is show text in debug panel. And then I'll say attribute equals string field attributes at element 0. Yes, good, good. All right. Cool. And then down here, we're just doing the same thing, except this time it's new field with attribute. That's smart. It's actually really smart. Look, it like saved the one that I was using up above, and it actually knew that I wanted that. Okay, cool. That makes me happy. All right, we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna throw that, and then we are going to plug in field equals field, and attribute equals float slider attributes at element 0. I don't need the parentheses actually. Cool. Yeah, this right here, like, not the sort of code that I plan to write a lot on stream. I'm trying to like avoid super heavy stuff. This is not as fun probably as some of the other stuff. But at this point, we're almost to the point where I can just sort of get over this hump of what I'm trying to do with all this stuff and then get to the really fun stuff. That's coming soon. Very soon, I hope. All right, so string field. Okay, so I need to do this. Public attribute type get attribute. Return as attribute type attribute. Oh, I guess I don't need that at all. All right, never mind. Take it back. It's already done. Okay, cool. So this would be attribute.multiline. That's what we get. Cool. String field.attribute.multiline. Cool. Same exact thing we were doing before. It's just a slightly different look to the code. Makes me feel a little bit nicer about it. I didn't like the ability. Like, here's the thing that I was trying to overcome. I had to write a different struct for every time I do this. I wanted to get to the point where I don't have to do that. A lot of programming is write a little bit more code now so that you have to write a lot less code later. That's really what I'm doing at this point. Debug. Okay, so then we're also doing something like this, where I say string field dot get value, and then, or no, you're not happy, right? Because we need this. Yes, good. Okay, and then string field dot set value is similar. Boom. Cool. We're just getting rid of these little extra weird, like, casts and things. Attribute.name, right? What's wrong with that? Show float with slider in debug panel does not contain a definition for name. Oh, it's not attribute, it's field. There we go. All right, and then value, yes, and then these finally can be float slider field dot attribute dot min and float slider field dot attribute dot max. And then we finish out the if statement. And then I'll say float slider field dot set value this comma value. So in other words, we get the value, we draw the thing, and then if the value changed, we plug in the new value again. So theoretically, we can grab this attribute, and everywhere we had a float before, like this actually, very similar to this, I'll just add another thingy to it. Ooh, I actually kind of like that. If I do it like this. I like that. That looks kind of nice. This sort of overhang to it is cool. All right, let's look at what values I'm actually using here though. 1 to 100, okay. Speed should actually be from 1 to 100. Lifespan. I don't think lifespan actually needed to be in the debug panel, so we can skip that one. Damage. Damage probably should be there. Yeah, okay. What was the range on that guy? 1 to 100. Okay. Sorry, just doing the thing, like, you guys might think, like, who would be the most fastidious writers? And you might think, like, an author or something, but it's might be a programmer. All right, base.draw GUI. Like, I am so particular about formatting, and, like, the ordering of elements and all that kind of stuff. Like, it bugs me if I don't mess with it. I hope I did that right. I have this little fear that I totally screwed that up just now, so let's actually try running this maybe. So we just messed with projectile. Let's see if projectile still looks the way it should look. QQ. Nope, does nothing. Absolutely nothing whatsoever. Super cool. So let's fix that. Why would that be? I don't know where I'm even looking. Okay. Let's throw this in here. Does projectile have an awake function? It does. Okay, so that's going to be why. Because I have awake here and also awake here. And so I just have to tell it, hey, don't ignore this awake that we have in this one. We need to you do this one and the other one, or the one that was written here. So I have to override it. So I do protected override void awake, and I will have to do base dot awake. yeah. I think if you can do it as you go, it's worth it. But if you spend too much time obsessing over it, yeah, it can get really gross. Okay, so we got compiling code. I guess we already had compiling code, so that's not a victory. Let's place a tower. Nothing happening. Something's still definitely missing here. It's not awake. Until I fire it. It doesn't awake until I fire it. Huh. Interesting. Okay. So my plan earlier was to use awake for this, but I think actually awake doesn't work. Because it wouldn't actually call this function until after we fire the projectile, but I want it to be possible before that. So let's change this a little bit. What I'll do instead is I will store a boolean here for has I don't know, is initialized, I guess. Sort of a cop-out of a name, but I'll just say if draw when enabled. Yeah, I guess the most sort of default behavior would be here. No, because then that's not going to help. That's okay. If is initialized, or if is not initialized, then get tagged fields. We'll go there. So we're getting rid of this awake function. And then we'll also say is initialized equals true. Pretty standard thing to ensure that something only happens once. You just keep like this flagged and you flip the switch when you do it so that it never happens again. The thing that's going to be weird here is the projectile. So there's no base, and this is not an override anymore. And it can be private again. The weird thing with the projectile is that it's getting told to do this, or like to start printing itself in the panel. At a different time. I'm sorry, that was because I was like, maybe I can do this a certain way, but I don't think I will. Really what's happening here... Yeah, that's really weird. My bitrate has been pretty good so far. I haven't done a build or anything yet, and that's usually when it sort of falls apart. So I don't know why I would keep doing that, but sometimes mine does that when I'm watching people. Okay, so this is coming from turret. That's what I'm looking for. Turret, at some point, says, hey, add the projectile too. So what we also need to do is to tell the projectile to initialize itself in the GUI. So I'm already sort of wanting to rename this right here. Is initialized. It's way too broad. Let's call this has found tagged fields. And then I guess what I'll do is call, or make this public, get tagged fields. So that if I have to, such as I'm doing in turret, not only do I want to add the drawable, but I also want for projectile to get tagged fields. And that, I guess that says that I need to change where I'm doing this if check. And I think I'll rename this as well to find tagged fields, because that sort of implies that more work is being done. Get is usually more of a really quick operation. Never have to do this more than once. Okay, let's see if that helps. Right, so place the tower, and it crashes. Cool. Request operation causes stack overflow. That's kind of dumb. Dumb move on my part. Had it recursing through that function infinitely, so that's neat. Yeah, let's not do that. Okay, place a tower. There we go. There we go. Let's do really slow bullets. But the tower is gonna like shoot a million of them. No, that's wrong. Range high. Shoot fast. They're too slow. They're too slow. I think the purple trail renderers are pretty mesmerizing. Alright, I mean, this kind of does what I want it to do. So I think what I'll do is I will try to replace every use of that function. Specifically this function. I want to replace every use of this. So let's find every use of it. Right? It's pretty neat. Okay, so then we're just going to pull from projectile, because I kind of like how I did it there. And we're going to jump into every time we're doing this. Oh, this is an int, huh? I might have to do an int version of it later. Because it's an int, I don't think I want to do this here. To do int field attribute, perhaps? Question mark? Okay. I don't think I want to do that. It's already got this sort of round to int function being used here. That means I would have to change how this works internally. I'm not going to bother with it just yet. What is this? This is... Where am I? GUI drawable. Oh, yeah, duh. Debug GUI utility. This is for the simple movement script. Yeah, it's also not quite right. Like, this is not actually a float. This is an input mapping. The float slider is for the thing inside of the input mapping, so it's also not quite going to work. So like all this work that I'm doing for myself, the more I look at it, I can only use it in a couple places so far. I think I'll probably will do a vector 3 version to do vector 3 attribute, question mark? Because like I said, the whole point here is if I do this now, then one day I could be like, hey, let's make a game, and then we could just like crank this stuff out super fast. It'd be like having our own little game jam, kind of. This is for turret. This is actually probably a good candidate, maybe? Maybe not. I think there's a lot more to it. Like this one is another case where it's actually passing this to other objects in an entire array, so there's another layer of complexity to this that I haven't solved. Yeah. So I guess I'm not really ready for any of this. I can use it in one place on the projectile, and that's at least a victory there. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a build. And making a build is going to flood my CPU with a lot of work here, so just be aware that it will increase the stream delay. But while I'm doing that, I'm also going to like step away and take a quick break. I'm only probably here for another half an hour or so. But I wanted to get a new build out to you guys. So while that's happening, just sit tight and listen to some tunes, I guess. Where's my be back soon thingy? BRB? I should add Kitty to this. There's the kitty. Say hi to the kitty. Alright, be back soon. Don't forget that... Alright, Glitch, have a good one. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed. What was the command for this? If you want to play with the kitty cat, you can. And the command is kitty commands. There we go. You want to see what you can do. How many programmer hours in a typical AAA game? That is a scary number. I don't know. Dylan probably has an answer for you on that. All right, I'll be right back. Back. It actually hasn't gotten to the crunchy part of the build process yet, so CPU is still doing okay. Yeah, it's a pretty grossly big number. AAA by definition is like huge budget, like engineering being the most expensive and possibly the most numerous of that budget for a lot of games. I guess that the numerous part, like how, the number of engineers, I don't know that that's necessarily the most numerous, but anyways, lots and lots and lots would be the answer. I think The Sims is kind of a... I wouldn't necessarily call it an outlier, but it is probably on the high end, because Sims 4 was in development, I think, longer than you were saying, like 1 to 2 years. It was probably more like 3 or 4 years. I mean, they iterated on it at least a couple times that I'm aware of. And I just happen to know because, you know, we know someone who worked there. Something like Call of Duty, you know, which they sort of crank out every year, is going to be considerably less because all they're doing is iterating a little bit on the engine and adding, updating graphics, rendering, probably, like little things like that. So it'll be a lot less than that for sure, probably. Alright, here's where the frames are going to drop. Well, I guess while I'm showing you guys this, I can sort of show you how I've reorganized my bot code a little bit. Let me make sure that I don't have anything really messy showing there. I have all kinds of like tabs open in Notepad++ that I just never close. So I don't know how many, I guess I only skipped like 1,000 frames so far. Anyways, I can see myself kind of choppy. Yeah, that's normal. So hopefully someone hears me say this, but the bot that I'm writing that's running right now, which can do things like roll 6. I wrote this, like I wrote the basic code. Did it not? Is it not running? Is it like failing to run? Oh no, it's not running. Okay. At some point I think I killed it, I guess. Roll 8. There we go. There's the bot. We wrote this on Monday, and since then I've sort of gone back over and reorganized it quite a bit, so I kind of wanted to show you guys, since I'm finding that very interesting, for me certainly, to like learn how it all works. This is my first time like trying to write a serious project in JavaScript, so that was something I had to learn, was how do modules actually work. But I've got it sort of broken out now, so that you've got like channel specific commands in one module, you've got generic commands that will probably be used across multiple channels. Those can be in a different module. I've got all the sort of stuff that I want to keep hidden behind the scenes in one place together. That's how I like to handle that. And then the base code for like actually running the bot in general is here. What's cool about it is I can pull in greetings and like other options and things from this config file. And for me, it's something like this. And it's like, here's some greetings for people that, you know, I specifically want to type in and have the bot say hello in particular ways. That's what that does. Here it tells it how long to wait after someone types a message before it will respond. It looks really, really artificial if someone types a message and then instantaneously the bot responds. So I'm adding a little delay there. And then the /me is what makes it turn color, which in chat you can see it a little bit. I took some advice, like Dylan, you said, you know, use a map. So I've got all kinds of maps happening here as well. So there's a lot of like cool stuff happening there. And then it turns out the trick for working with modules was you just had to have this thing at the bottom that says module.exports equals, and you kind of sort of lay out what are the things that you want it to actually say, or you know, to include and to pass into the other chunks of code that you're working with. All right, so the thing built, and again, you might be experiencing a bit more delay than usual, but I am here, so feel free to call out if you notice anything. But let's just make sure that these things that we worked on today basically work. So hit Q, open projectile, and tower. I guess if I increase damage, that should be easy to check. It should insta-kill instead of taking 2 shots, I think. Let's increase range. Let's reduce time between shots. Let's have them just sort of blast through these guys. Okay, that seems good. Let's try it again, though. Let's set damage way lower, so now they can basically never do them any appreciable amount of damage. That seems good. Let's check that this thing still works. Clicking button. We're not going to get console output. I think we might, actually, I guess, if we hit F12. You get the, Oh, yeah, totally. No, it wasn't, I wouldn't even have said it was weird. It was just, I didn't quite get exactly how it worked. And honestly, it all clicks into place, and it's rather intuitive once you understand how it works. From origin has been blocked by policy. No access control allow origin headers present on the requested resource. Okay, so I'm probably going to get some failures in the bindings when you try to send the email, so I'll have to debug those later. I'm not going to spend a ton of time trying to figure that out today. But actually, it looks like I did get a new report. So it worked. Even though I got some kind of an error, it worked. So no worries there. And then I guess what I want to do is check that it reflects the changes properly for The projectile settings. Speed 100, damage 1. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like... Yeah. It's JavaScript. I mean, I was never expecting JavaScript to be C. Right? Alright, cool. I think that's all good stuff. So yeah, I don't know what else I could do. I guess I can try to debug this. I got a little more time, so let's see if we can figure out what's happening here. Maybe I don't have to care that much. Blocked by CORS policy, no access control, allow origin header is present on the requested service. Yeah, no, I believe, I mean, it sounds like it's here. This is the first time hearing of it. Oh, right, that's the thing that I want to do, is actually upload this for you guys. Whoops, that's not at all. Well, it kind of is what I wanted, actually. Alright, so let's hop into Dreamweaver. Let's go into test game. And let's just update all of that stuff. I think I just need to plug in these two folders here. Yes to all. So then uploading this should constitute updating the build. I'm gonna open up this index file here. And I'm just gonna, I just had the sort of sudden like decision to like add a date to it. Need to sort of figure out where that belongs. If we look at this bit of code here, the barkingotter.com, yeah, there we go. Okay, so I added this like extra junky debug text down here, so let's get rid of that before we do anything else. Ow. That's kind of weird. Like, what is the actual source that's printing that there? Whoops. Inspect, that's what I wanted. Okay, I guess I am looking at the wrong thing, maybe? Local view. Let's look in the server. I guess I need to pull this down. Maybe I did it in a different place. Oh no, I'm looking in test game. Is that what I'm doing? Yeah, I've been looking in the wrong place this whole time. Okay, I'm in test game. That's kind of a bummer. Oh well. This is why we test things, everybody. Alright, click and drag over here. Yes to all. Let's push that stuff up again. Put a new zip file up there. Obviously that's not up to date. Okay, I'm gonna remove this junk. I'll say updated January 30, 2021. What else do I need to say? I don't know what else there is to say. Come on now. Reload. Uh-oh. All stack. Heyo. Cool. That's not good at all. Okay, Shift F5. Let's make sure that we completely rebuild that. I guess the index hasn't been updated. Okay. Whatever that Stack Overflow was seems to be okay now. Skipping frames again. Is it skipping them because it's too much work to render everything? I should probably close things like straighter. Might help. Okay. Make sure everything still kind of works. Like super high range, really fast turrets that don't do much damage and are very slow. I don't know. We're still like, again, not much of a game here, but anyways, the key was just making sure that it all worked. All right. Sending values again. I'm going to run one more test. Weird. Okay, I think I might have screwed this up. I just noticed that it doesn't actually print the text field there anymore, which I would have wanted, so I'm going to add that back in and probably rebuild it after stream, I guess. So this is the only one I think that currently uses multi-line true, and it may be the only one that uses it at all, I guess. So I didn't test this thoroughly enough, I guess. So let's take a peek back over here. This is where it should be drawing it. So value equals get value if it is multi-line. Oh, okay, so that shouldn't... Wait, okay, hang on. If it's multi-line... Yeah, okay, I think I don't like the way this is written. So let's just do one of these, and let's say if... I had to reboot the bot. Okay, this will be the last thing for sure today. Else... Yeah. If the trail did damage, that'd be pretty slick for sure. Okay, I think this is probably cleaner for what I'm going for. Nope, still not working. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Report GUI, multi-line equals true. Alright, I'm gonna have to fire up the old debugger here. Let's see if I can get that figured out in the next 2 minutes. Ready, go. I guess I do want it here. Find tagged fields. Maybe this is what I'm missing. Maybe that's the place where it should have been. I'm realizing, I think, that I'm not calling this anywhere for the typical case. Only for that one projectile script, as it turned out. Okay, better. Better. Okay, so I think I will kind of call it there. Where's my kitty? Bring back the kitty. You guys are seeing some quality streamer action here in progress. It's been really great, guys. I appreciate you all being here. I guess there's a few of you still here, so why don't we see if there's someone else we might want to raid. Just see who's online. It's always great to see you. I appreciate every one of you coming out. I want to thank just a little funky for suggesting a really great game that I was gonna do anyway. Which would be Myth, the Fallen Lords. And so I'll totally get to that. Let's see what some people are up to, and then I'll send you to someone super cool. Hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. If anyone has any cool weekend plans, hoping, sort of stalling so that you can, you know, hopefully see this message. I don't really know who to send you to, except let's just go say hi to Cage. He's a cool guy from the Netherlands that I just met recently here on Twitch, which I feel like I say a lot. Oh no, intended for mature audiences. You guys better be mature. I'm gonna stall as long as I can, but you guys have been absolutely great. Please. Yeah, I'm glad you could attend too. And I will catch you guys next time, Monday, Tuesday, maybe some other time during the week. I will keep doing those sort of midweek streams and keeping it alive.